first went out door knocking, it was middle of winter, 8 o'clock at night, down with rain, knocked on a door and told to like F off. I wouldn't list my house with you if you were the last estate agent on earth.
Most people focus on one business. Tyler Newman built 3. Tyler is a property founder and entrepreneur behind estate agency Luxury Property Partners, the development company Newman Rose, and the consultancy Property Ed. By his late 20s, he's already led a £9 million development.
That Cambridgeshire project is 9 million. The hotel project is between 1.4, 1.6.
Scaled multiple businesses and even completed a 250-kilometer ultra marathon across the Sahara Desert.
Congratulations to Tyler!
What the f*** is that?
This episode is a masterclass in what it really takes to be a property founder, building companies, attracting investors, and creating opportunities. If you're serious about property entrepreneurship, this one's for you.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you taking the trip up from from London, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guess where do we start?
I came from London as
Yeah,
well.
don't
Like,
really care
no
about
thanks as well. No thanks. Nothing here, man. Just wow. Just sitting duck.
No, sorry. Yeah. Thank you, Andrew, for coming from London. But yeah, no, obviously, really wanted to get you on the podcast. Been reaching out. I feel like, do you know what's crazy? Actually, first of all, I think we should start here is I sent you a message on Instagram.
When?
5 years ago
I think you told me this.
in 2020.
But what was it?
I think he was in a petrol station in your Lambo. And I was like, oh, sick, bro. How did you get to where you got to?
Did I reply?
No, I don't think so. I think you read it. No, I don't think you read it. You didn't read it because it never showed red. So I was like, okay.
I don't think Instagram would tell you then.
Well,
did it?
It kind of like filters the messages now, and I don't know how it worked back then. But yeah, that was my first interaction with you. I saw you online talking about property education. And it was just interesting because I feel like there was only a few people doing it at the time.
Where were you at the time? Like,
What do you mean? Where was I in my journey? Or
Yeah.
where was I? This was probably like around about the Rich Dad event times.
Was it?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
2016, yeah.
Is that when you reached out to
Was
Tyler?
it? Actually, no. 2020.
That's 9 years ago.
Was it 2020? I think it was 2020 actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 2020. Yeah, it was 2020 actually. I'm correct. Yeah, 2020.
I remember when I
Or
first came across your content was through you. You sent over the podcast episode he had, and that's when I started watching.
Newman Rose podcast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Full circle moment.
I know.
On a podcast
Yeah,
together.
Now we're on one together. That's crazy.
True.
It's probably chilling in my room, just there.
Yeah.
Now I'm up in Manchester.
But yeah, no, good to see. So since then, we've engaged with yourself. We've watched your content. It's been very inspirational to watch your journey so far. And then also reached out to you to come to your 2-day event, 2-day mastermind, then Dubai. And yeah, man, I feel like we're bros now.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, Dubai is special, right?
Yeah, definitely, man. That was my first time out there as well. So like, it's a memorable place. Yeah, I feel like there was a lot that was happening for me during that time in terms of mindset changing or shifting. But I think it got me back to how I used to think as that 21-year-old. I was just hungry. And
So what changed when you came out to Dubai?
What changed? It was being in the room with other entrepreneurs that were in similar spaces that wanted to do more. So you could see them investing in themselves. And then just the level of people that are around, especially from the speakers. So if we're talking about the likes of Daniel Priestley being around, Anthony Leville, even though I know him personally, it's still good to see Jack Jiggins, Spencer Lodge. I didn't know who he was before, and just hearing what he was doing was phenomenal. Like, honestly, I remember that day, and even we were saying it when we went out to reflect after dinner. I was just like, wow, there's so much that's possible. And then seeing what's actually happening in Dubai in terms of the architecture, the people around, the willingness of people wanting to network and do things. Like, you don't often get that. As much as I'm born and raised in London and being around it, you don't often see that as in out in the open. Like cars and stuff, I can see that if I go Mayfair and whatnot. But just seeing what was possible in Dubai, that shifted my focus, man. Like, and yeah, I remember coming back, I was like, listen, we got to get it, man. Like,
For sure.
There's no playing around.
Dubai's different. I went to Dubai in 2016.
You put me off going, you know. you know
Yeah, because I was just kind of like, it's very fugazi.
Sure,
I
there is a
think anyway.
fugazi element to
Do you
it.
know what I mean? Like the whole main like city of Dubai, I was kind of like, it's very pretentious. So for me, I was more interested in like Abu Dhabi. Do you know what I mean? I went to Emirates Palace. I was like, okay, and then I saw the Emiratis over there, and I was like, these guys are moving different.
But what's wrong with pretentious?
Um,
Pretentious in terms of what? Because the thing with Dubai, right? So London is a very wealthy city, but a lot of the wealth is very hidden behind closed doors. Dubai is the opposite. It's maybe equally as wealthy, but the wealth is really on show, which you could call pretentious. And sure, like there's the flashy lifestyle, people like to do whatever, but what about that turned you off?
So I think for me, I always want to know like the real story of an area. So for me, as soon as I got out the airport, got into a taxi, I'm talking to a cab driver from Pakistan.
Sure.
And he's telling me about the history of Dubai. He's telling me who built Dubai. He's telling me that the people that built Dubai is not, well, I guess it's in any economy, right? The people that build it aren't the people that benefit or get the rewards from it. But he's kind of just telling me all about that. And then I'm also seeing the outskirts of Dubai where like the real people are living. I guess I say real people. I mean, in that sense, but just like, I want to know the culture past Dubai, because Dubai is really only 20, 30 years old. So before that, what was Dubai? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
So for me, even with London, I'm like, cool, I grew up in London. So when people come to London now and say, oh, it's gentrified, like I grew up in Hackney, and 20 years ago, you wouldn't want to be in Hackney, but now everyone wants to be in Hackney. So for me, even if I came to London the same way, I'd probably say like Mayfair and all those areas are a bit pretentious, even though the wealth is hidden. But I want to know the people that are living in that grew up, what was it like when you grew up? Do you know what I mean? So for me, I just want to see that side so I can understand where the place is now. And for me, I love Dubai. I don't know if I'd live there. Like I might live there like for a few months out of the year. But for me, I love Dubai. I love the energy. But if anything, it's just, I guess when a place is built off the backs of, let's say, people that are struggling in a way where I don't feel they're being rewarded in the right way, then yeah, that was just my point.
Yeah, I mean, environment is everything, right? And partly the reason, one of the main reasons we host that event in Dubai is I want to create an environment. Because having the speakers is one thing, there's a benefit to having the speakers, but there's a huge benefit or a huge part of like the transformation or the kind of change that happens from being in that event is one, being outside or away from your existing comfortable environments. You're not kind of stuck in routine and hearing the same things, seeing the same things. So it's kind of a period to reflect. But then being thrown into an inspiring environment where you're in a $20 million villa on the Palm. You've got everywhere you look, there's all of this wealth. I think it just does something. And for me, a pattern I've recognized is every time I'm over there, I do feel very inspired. In fact, and I feel broke. Like, thing is with London as well, like you can drive a nice car, like you drive the Lambo through London. You've got all the tourists there as well on the weekends. They're taking photos of your car. They're showing you love. Yeah. And it kind of creates this false delusion that, I'm actually doing pretty well. Like I've kind of made it a little bit. Go out to Dubai, you drive a Lamborghini, no one's really looking because, and then you'll be at a restaurant. I remember last time I was there, I was at a restaurant, just leaving, some 18-year-old kid walks out, jumps into his Bugatti Chiron Super Sport, drives off. And it's just hard to ignore those things and think there's a bigger game to be playing. There's another level.
No, that's facts, man. I think for me, even, like I said, you put me on going to Dubai the first time, but it actually showed me, I think I learned a lot about you from your trip to Dubai the first time, because I thought in some ways you had a pretentious part to yourself, like, I like nice things, right? Not that that's a bad thing, but that if you were going to use the word pretentious because we're using it, that's what I thought. So when you came back, it was like, nah, it doesn't have character. I'm like, what? Character? What are you talking about? And but then I remember that's always stuck with me. So whenever I go to countries and I can see some history there, I'm like, that's what Ross was talking about. And that resonated with me. But the time I've gone to Dubai, you can see a lot has been built out since then. So I just see it now as a land of opportunity for many people. And many people are moving there because it's a land of opportunity in terms of the way people are, their mindset, a lot of people tend to invest in personal growth and personal development out there. I even remember a specific moment where we were walking to, I can't remember, one of the rooftop restaurants we were going to. I don't know if it was Zeta or Zeta.
Yep.
Yeah.
But we were walking through this hotel, and there was this guy who was like, "Oh, where are you guys off to?" And it was just like, "Oh, we're going for dinner upstairs." And he's like, "Oh, what do you do?" And then just started telling him my properties. Like, "Oh, I've got a few friends in real estate. I'm in e-commerce." And he just started talking, followed each other on Instagram. He's like, "Let's keep in touch, man. It's good." And it's like, that never happens in London. Never.
Yeah.
Like there's that conversation just wouldn't happen. And I've been in London. You have to almost sit down and have conversations in like certain spaces in London for someone to overhear, and then they might even reach out to you and say, "Hey, what do you do, by the way?" But just by seeing you as a group of people going somewhere, I thought, yeah, you guys must be up to something. What's going on?
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that, because for me, although we're talking about environment and the places that you go to, right? For me, London and central London specifically was always somewhere that I would go to.
For sure.
Like secondary school days, I just remember we used to go West End to Nike Town, right?
Yeah.
And
Trocadero.
yeah, Trocadero and all those areas. But then I just remember like growing up and thinking, I feel different here to compared to Clapton Pond. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I can just feel the energy. So for me, I've always made it a priority to get around or get in environments where I feel that type of energy. So Berkeley Square, like New Bond Street, walking into the galleries. Do you know what I mean? For me, that energy, I'm like, I definitely need to keep this around, but also not forget, I guess.
I would do the same thing. When I was an estate agent in Coventry, we'd have sometimes like, I'd come down to London for an event, whether it was a seminar, a workshop, something property related. I'd always stay into the night and just walk around Mayfair and just see the cars, the people. I just wanted to see like, okay, this is a real thing. These things are real. Like this is a reality that other people live day in, day out. And like Dubai, London, wherever, it all comes down to what you focus on, right? And and the bubble that you design for yourself. Like some people would argue, oh, I live in a bubble. But yeah, I have. I've designed and engineered a bubble that I live in that is conducive to what I want out of life. The place that I live in, the friends I surround myself with, the gym that I go to where I'm meeting like some of the most successful people that I've ever met. I decided to go to the most expensive gym I could find near me in London for two reasons. One, I just never want to be frugal when it comes to my health and wellness, and I want to feel like inspired to go work out in a nice place. But then one of my rules of life is like, I'll just pay whatever price I need to pay to get around great people, because I know the magic that happens. And I'll just be sat in the sauna with a guy who's about to take his company public, or one guy was telling me he's in the infrastructure business. He said, oh yeah, I just closed a fundraise of we just closed on 400. I'm like, 400 what? It's like 400 million. I'm like, oh, okay. And he's planning to do like 200 million EBITDA this year in his company that is the CEO of. And I could go on and on and on and on. And yeah, you've got to design the bubble that you live in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Today, I feel there's going to be so much that I want to talk about today, like genuinely. But let's actually get into it in terms of what you were talking about there, like designing that life. So if we take it right back to the beginning and starting out, like, what was your upbringing like? Because I know we've had some of those conversations, but it would be good to even let people know that's listening to this and don't know much about you. Yeah. Because there's so many things we could talk about, like the developments you're currently building at right now in Cambridgeshire, right? As well, yeah. The other things around the businesses that you're doing. So luxury property partners, we're probably going to delve into that. But before we get into all those businesses, I want to talk about your upbringing, what was home life like? What was the area like? And what inspired you to want to design the life that you've designed today?
Okay. Well, I mean, first of all, I won the lottery. Like, I was born into an entrepreneurial family, as in a first world country, English speaking, like as far as luck goes, like I lucked out. And so my dad's biggest inspiration, role model in my life, he has an estate agency business in the Midlands, which a lot of people think that's how I got the exposure to property. But I didn't actually get much exposure to the world of property. It was more the exposure to entrepreneurship and and really just maybe the mindset, the psychology, and the benefits of entrepreneurship, of having a certain level of freedom. And so I shared something on social media recently, which I dug out, and it's called the Newman Family Expectations, which is an A4 document of like 30. So basically, I was indoctrinated as a kid by my own family, and like this Newman family values or family expectations is like 30 different bullets of like almost like the code of honor that we live by. Stuff like, I don't know, always say please and thank you. Like, the most impactful one probably was like, we don't use the word can't, like that in our
C word.
That was the C word. You do not say that word. It's not even a thing in the household. And I remember there's the Henry Ford quote is like, he who says he can, he who says he can't are both usually right. That was like one of the first lessons that was instilled in me. And then also, you can just achieve anything you commit your mind to. And you know, my daddy's we did like an Ironman when I was super young, and then I ended up doing one with him 10 years later. We're gonna do another one next year, I think. We're about to commit to that, which would be 10 years on from that. The ultra marathon that I just did recently, a lot of people don't know, he actually did that 16, 17, 18 years ago. So I kind of grew up with this role model of someone that I'm going to go do that, goes and does it. And it was like, okay, cool. Reinforcing that belief that if you do set your mind to something, you can do it. And I'd have friends come around the house. I remember it was actually a neighbor who lived across the road, and I can't remember what we're doing. Maybe we're super young, maybe 10, 11 years old. And my friend was trying to put something into the boot of my dad's car, and then was trying to like close the boot, but he was like too short. He's jumping up trying to get it, and goes and says to my dad, "Oh, I can't close it." And I was like, "No, use the C word." And I remember my dad saying something like, "Well, if you convince yourself you can't do it, you're not going to do it." It says you can do it, go and do it. And then jumps up, closes the boot. And so that was like the program that I had, right? And then whether it's nature or nurture, I kind of had this entrepreneurial spirit, if you want to call it, this desire to go out and start my own business. And so through school, I tried e-commerce business with a couple of friends, which did okay. Then exams got in the way, started another e-com brand, tried doing events where I bought a marquee off eBay for like £300, hosted a party with it, charging my friends to come to a party. They were complaining about paying to come, but they'd come anyway. So I'm like, okay, cool. Then I would hire out that marquee for like 100 quid a night or 200 quid a night. I was like, oh, like this is, and then I think the third time we hired it out, it collapsed on the stag do that had hired it from us. And we had no insurance, nothing, but like I tried loads of different things, drop shipping, whatever. And then decided when I was, I think year 12, like when you're 17, when all of the teachers at school are like, right, go do your personal statements for uni, go book onto the open days, this, that. For me, I just like kind of questioned. It was like, wait, why am I being funneled into uni? I haven't made the decision if I want to go or not. And at this point, I'd got that taste for entrepreneurship. So I was like, I just can't wait another 3-4 years of going through uni to go out. I want to go make my own money. So
question there quickly.
Sure.
Did your parents tell you that you needed to go to uni, or did they say like you should go?
No one in my family's ever been to uni. And maybe some families in that situation, they'd be like, we never went to uni. You've got the opportunity to, you should. And that was reality for some of my friends. But maybe adopting the mindset from my parents, my dad was like, no, why do you need to? They've just always been supportive of any decision that I make. So
it wasn't a case where they said you should go.
No.
Yeah.
Mate, if he was Nigerian, man, that would be a completely different conversation.
Yeah, I just couldn't make sense of it. So I went to like, remember one of my best friends at school, he was going to an open day at uni, and his mum said to me, you should really consider coming to the open day. And I went to the open day. I can't remember what uni it was. I was like, this, like, fuck this. And at the same time, this was a real kind of inflection point in my property journey. I saw a Facebook ad for a free seminar in London, how to become a property millionaire. And I just thought, I also tried like Forex and all these other different things. Like it's a rite of passage, right? To try and make money in these different ways. And I was like, well, property's a real thing. Like I know people, family, friends, parents that have made money in property. there's got to be something here. So I took the day off school, went down to that. Guy at the front of the room was just talking about how you can create wealth through property investment, development. He was, maybe I saw a little bit of myself in him. Like he would, not that I saw myself in him, but he did like to, I don't think pretentious is the right word.
It's salesy. It's a salesman.
No, so he had this one slide where he would actually say to him, guys, is it okay if I'm just a little bit brash and rude for a second? So he'd get the permission of the room. And then he would flick to the next slide and he would say the difference between men and boys are the price of their toys. And he'd have this slide of like his Rolls Royce, his Ferrari, his Bentley. And me as a 17-year-old kid, like you're into cars, I'm like, yeah, I get it. So then I ended up, of course, at the end of that free workshop, he's like, guys, if you want to come on I think 3 or 4 day workshop or like event that I'm doing, I think it was like 350 pounds. I remember having like £1,000 in my bank. So I was like, sure. I went, understood maybe like 10% of it because all of these phrases were being thrown around. Like I didn't even know how a mortgage worked. I didn't know whatever. But then I'd come home, study, and then left school, started working as an estate agent, bought my first house. Rest is history.
Yeah, wow.
What was that like with friends though? Like, one thing that I remember in our journey, especially when we first went to an event, I think around that time we were already doing business, but we found that some of our friends were on board with what we're doing, but not all of them, right? So what was that like? The fact that you decided to go against the grain of going to university, where I'm sure the majority of people at school were planning on going. Did you find that many people supported that journey outside of family, like friends saying, yeah, let's do this together?
I don't think there was a lack of support, but I was definitely known amongst my friends as like, oh, Tyler wants to be a businessman, like good for him kind of thing. And they'd like a bit tongue in cheek, not really taking me too seriously. But I did have this one friend that, I was definitely a driving force amongst a couple friends where like there was one friend that I tried doing like an ecom business with. And I remember our last couple of years at school, you'd have your break time, your lunchtime. We used to have these study rooms. Yeah. So you'd have the common room where everyone kind of hangs out. I would drag my friends like, we'll go to the study room where we just got like these computers, basically lock ourselves in a room and we'll just, I don't even know what we're trying to do. We just got to figure something out. Like we just got to make money. And my mindset is always like how, like what can we do? Who's got our money? Yeah. I was just hungry for it. And I still have a couple friends today. I have like one friend that every morning I'll either message him or he'll message me as like, how do we make 100 mil? How do we like, we got to, because the answer is always, no matter what level you get to, is like, oh, there's another level, we got to get there. And so I'd, do stuff with my friend there. Like we wanted to try build an app. And I remember coming down to London, meeting an app developer, and we were like 17 years old in suits. It didn't really fit us, trying to pitch him our app on why he should build it for free for us. On reflection, it was like, we never got taken seriously, but I had that 3 or 4 day, it was a 4-day workshop that I went to. I actually went to it like 3 times. And the next 2 times that I went, I would bring a friend with me. I was like, you got to come like understand this property thing. For me, it was like, so it's like, why wouldn't you want to do this? Why would you not want to start your own business, take control of your own kind of destiny? And I remember a friend coming and he would just like play on his phone and just not be engaged. And it's like, you can't save everyone.
That used to annoy me,
I was just about to say that because sometimes it's like, because obviously we did network marketing, right? So it's like we'd bring people to the presentation. But then, when you see somebody's not as engaged as they should be, like, this can change your life. Like, what are you doing?
But it is frustrating.
Man, it is very.
But I think that's on a deep level. Some people, if they don't, you guys know, because we've spent time with each other. One of my core beliefs is that everything is just downstream from your psychology and mindset. Yeah. And if people don't believe what's possible for them, that it's possible for them, they're never gonna show up with that full 100%. Intent because they're like, oh yeah, but this might not work. Yeah, it's whatever. So.
Yeah.
I think I was listening to something recently where it says half of the journey is your mindset. You can even probably argue 3/4 of the journey is your mindset.
Would say 3/4.
And then the rest is just, actually going out and doing it.
100%.
But I think that's one thing we struggled with is just mindset around people that we were around often. When we'd see something or we'd speak to people that had completely changed their lives and they're telling you something and someone's not engaged, oh man, I couldn't tell you. Like genuinely, that used to annoy me.
But mindset is a big part of it. And for me, I resonate a lot with your mindset. There's certain things that I see you post And for me, I'm like all over mindset because I'm just like the power of your mind and what you believe to be possible is true.
Yeah.
So what obviously we mentioned like, or you mentioned the list that your dad made you sign.
Sure.
How old were you?
I want to say like I'm born in 1997. That was 2006. I was 9 years old.
No,
Okay.
yeah.
So at the time, did you know what you were signing? Like, were you looking at this thing like laughing?
No. I didn't get it.
Okay.
Back then.
But at all, or like you just thinking, what's my dad making me sign?
Yeah, I was probably like questioning. I was like, "Come on, Dad! Like whatever. Like what book have you read on parenting this week?" kind of thing. But no, like so. One thing I'm very grateful for my parents is that they were very intentional about raising me, and it's something I want to do with when, if I have the blessing to start and raise a family. Like when they knew they wanted to have kids, it's like, okay, they stopped drinking. They were like, let's go all in on learning about health, which back then, that generation, they didn't have the same, it's not as common knowledge as it is maybe for us around health and wellness. And my dad being kind of he's got an amazing story, which I'll tell one day, but he kind of ran away from home when he was 15, ended up starting his own business super young, just being very resourceful. And then through that fell into the world of that personal development. So another big influence on my life was Tony Robbins. And I went to my first Tony Robbins event when I was, I want to say 16 or 15, which, have you guys ever been to a Tony?
No,
Haven't been, but
there was a time I was in the Excel arena and I think Tony Robbins was there, and I was just going by and I was like, what's going on in there? So I was like, Tony Robbins is here.
that's powerful.
I remember seeing him like, in person one time. I was like, this guy is a giant, bro. I'm tall and he's tall.
Big guy.
Yeah.
But that was a big inflection point on my life as well, because then that just helps you really take your understanding of like human psychology and performance to the next level. Helped me understand the importance of like the right belief systems, and then also being able to control your state and your emotional state, and the importance of being in a state of certainty and conviction and high energy if you want to win at anything.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because I knew that there was a point of like that Tony Robbins thing makes sense because it's like you engaged or you had come into contact with that, and obviously it had an impact on you moving forward. When it comes to, I guess, how you look at like the way that you live your life today, how do you think that those principles that you learned when you were younger, how do you think that they shape like your decision making today and your, I guess, emotional state?
Probably main overarching thing is it was originally maybe from, you know, how I was raised from parents, but then also a lot of stuff that I did to reinforce it. But the belief that if you put your mind to something, you can achieve it.
Yeah.
And actually probably prior to that, one of the most important belief systems you need to have is that if someone else can do it, I can do it. And being able to look at someone that's had a certain level of success and understand, okay, cool, I've got the same access to resources as them, or there's people that have had access to less resources than me, that have achieved the things that I want to achieve. So if they can do it, I can do it. You look at like Oprah Winfrey's story. I don't know if you like know her for an example, but I was listening to it the other day. She was like, got pregnant at like 13 years old, abused, growing up in like a racist, hostile environment, and then becomes a female billionaire. There's just so many of these examples. It's like, well, what's the excuse? Why can someone else do it and not you?
I remember seeing an interview of her actually, and it was like, before she was launching the show, it was like, oh, what if you don't make it? And she was like, I will make it.
Yeah, it's not even a question.
Yeah.
It was like, she was 100% believing in what she was doing.
So yeah, if you can look at someone and think, if they can do it, I can do it, and you can believe that it's possible for you, and then you know, okay, if I commit my mind to something and I throw everything at it over a long enough time horizon, I know it's going to happen. Because maybe you guys can relate to this as well. It's like, if you set a goal with enough certainty, when that goal is set in my head, like that goal is already done, the box is ticked. It's just a question of like time hasn't caught up yet. There's no question
I like that.
whether or not it's going to happen. It's just a question of when it's going to happen and how it's going to happen. And then like Tony, for example, some of the main things I learned from him is like success leaves clues. It's like, you don't need to figure things out for yourself as much as, because there's patterns. If you study successful people, you study enough of them, you'll see patterns in how they think, how they behave, how they make decisions. And then you start to adopt those things into your own life, and it's like, okay, you do that. The importance of environment, so like importance of like proximity, who you're in proximity with. You get in proximity to the right people, certain magic happens. You're in proximity with the wrong people. That's a tough conversation people don't want to have, but
True.
I've caught myself even recently, I'm around people that the things they're talking about is like, I don't even want those thoughts to even enter my conscious. Like, you're complaining about work, you're complaining about women, I'll listen to you, cool, but like, I got to be careful what I'm letting into my mind.
Yeah, we was having this conversation on the way up, right? Like I was saying that I've had to be very intentional with saying no to a lot of things, especially in the season that I'm in now, because we're just doubling down on a number of stuff business-wise. And that requires intense focus.
Yeah.
But you've just got to limit the distractions, one, but two, just the people you're around on a regular basis. Because I've been saying recently, we overestimate what humans are capable of, but we also underestimate what humans are capable of. So when we say we underestimate, it's being around the wrong people. You think, oh, no, I'm an anomaly. That's not going to affect me. But it does affect you, and it will impact you in some way. Before you know it, you're speaking like them. You're doing things like them. I remember like a random story of when I was like 17, 18. I never smoked. I never did anything like that. But my friends around that time, they all smoked. And everyone used to be like, why aren't you going to smoke? Like, why don't you smoke? And I was like, I'm just not going to do it. But bit by bit, that was chipping away.
Yeah, it does.
And I realized I have to get out of this environment quickly, because when you call someone up, you ask them, what do you want to do? They were like, oh, I'm just going to be chilling today and smoking. I'm like, well, I don't want to do any of that. And I could have continued doing that. Eventually, I would have just been doing this. So I think, going back to what I'm saying, sometimes we underestimate what we're capable of, but we overestimate ourselves as well. So you have to be very intentional about who you spend your time around.
Yeah, 100%.
Going on to that, right? Like, you spoke about Tony Robbins. Who would you say are some of your like biggest influences or inspirations when it comes to business or life in general? Obviously, you mentioned your dad as well, but Tony Robbins is another. So we've got two down.
Tony was huge. Tony was it's impactful because I went to his events. I went to a number of his events, and when you go to his events, it's hugely immersive. So I remember going to his business mastery event in Vegas. It's 5 days. You're starting at 9 a.m.
How old are you then?
I must have been 19.
Wow. And you decided to go Vegas as well. Damn.
Yeah. And it's 5 days, maybe 6 days. I think it's 5. You start at 8:30, 9 a.m. Most nights you're finishing at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. But throughout that, you never feel tired because you hyper energized. And Tony makes such a big point about conditioning your body, conditioning your nervous system, conditioning your mind to be in this peak state. He calls it, which is a skill. It's a learned behavior. I'm sure, because you guys have spent time with a lot of successful people, you know that the successful people are high energy people, but high energy isn't something you're born with or you're not. It's a learned behavior. It's something you condition your nervous system. And a big part of like my day, my morning routine is getting into that peak state, because I don't know what shit the day's going to throw at me, but I want to make sure when that shit is thrown at me, I'm in a state of certainty, a state of conviction, where I can then go through it. So Tony was one. Obviously, I listened to like so many personal development people over the years. I can hand on heart say every day for the last probably 12, 13 years of my life, I've spent at least 1 to 2 hours a day just listening to any kind of personal development stuff, whether it's Tony, whether it's Jim Rohn, whether it's Bob Proctor. Dr. John DeMartini is one that I really like as well. He's a bit more unknown. But then there's more kind of business, technical specifics. It was like, okay, early stage of my career, I wanted to really double down on the skill of sales. I understood the value of being able to sell. So you read all the sales books, and then it's like, okay, cool, I want to double down on marketing. And it's marketing, and then it's communication, branding, property. So I would always encourage everyone to start with mastering your psychology and emotions and your beliefs, and then downstream from that, whatever direction you want to go, whatever kind of business vehicle you want to pursue, then be a bit more intentional with the specific skill sets from whatever resource.
Yeah.
I had a question. Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, in terms of the feeding your mind daily, for me, I do a lot of that. So Earl Nightingale, that's my guy. Jim Rohn, but all of these guys, it's like they've got so much content, and I would think that back in the day, you said that your dad was massive into personal development.
Mm-hmm.
I remember they used to have these tapes, right? So like, did he have these tapes? Did you see these tapes? Did you come across your dad listening to this stuff?
He'd have some books. He'd have some CDs. He'd have audiobooks as well. Like I remember when the iPods were starting to evolve, he'd be listening to audiobooks and say, "Oh, you can listen to it on 2x speed, and you can literally get through a book in 4 hours." So,
do you know what's been my Bible recently though? The Millionaire Fastlane by MJ DeMarco.
I don't think I've read that one.
Yeah, audiobook of that is powerful.
Okay.
But sometimes I just listen to like 30 minutes in the morning, and it would just get me into that mindset of understanding like why I'm doing what I'm doing, and just get into that state of flow, I guess.
Yeah, morning routine is key. Like Dubai was actually where I did my first cold plunge. I said that on my story recently, but ever since then, do you know what? It was even funnier. Prior to that, I've been going to my gym for just over a year now, so they have a cold plunge there. And I'll tell you, I would always go to the sauna and steam room after my session, but to get there, you have to walk past the cold plunge. I'm like, no chance. Like literally, I was like, not doing that. And I was prepping myself doing it in Dubai. But I remember when we did the workout, and after that workout, the only thing I could think about is like, get me into that cold plunge. And once you've done it, I'm like, is this the one thing I'm scared of? And I keep telling a lot of my friends, you should do the hard things first. Or another thing will be like, step out of your comfort zone. That's where growth lives. And then there's me just scared of doing a cold plunge. And literally, I can't do a session in that sauna spa area without doing my cold plunge. And that's part of my morning routine now. And it just conditions your mind to say, like you said, when there's hard things that are happening, you're, even mentally, you are not only alert, but you are prepared for those situations when they happen. And you actually keep a level of calm. You know, I'm quite neutral when a lot of things are going wrong. I don't get too emotional as I used to probably. But a lot of that is part to just being intentional about my morning routine. So in a way, it's kind of like a thank you for,
for doing that.
Because now when I think of cold plunges, I shouldn't be thinking of you in a cold plunge, but I generally think of that.
But it's more than just a cold plunge, right? It's the rule that actually the fact previously that you didn't want to do it should be a reason to do it.
Yeah.
And that should just be a rule that you adopt. Oh, I don't want to do that because it looks hard, it looks scary, it looks challenging, which is the exact same reason you should do it.
I literally made a video the other day for how to train your mind to do hard things.
Okay.
And the crazy thing is there was a gym that I was going to, and these guys at 6 a.m. in the morning, they get out freezing cold in the winter and get into this plunge pool. I used to look out from the jacuzzi, just think, what are these guys thinking? Until I did it, and then I was like, okay, like the endorphins, the dopamine, like how it carries you through your day as well. But exactly like you said, right? Resistance is it's kind of like a compass for you need to do that. Like if anything is like, with regards to personal development, anything that you feel like you shouldn't do, you should actually run towards it and do it as quick as you can. So, yeah.
So like thinking of property, because obviously this is the Property Founder podcast. I keep saying I never wanted to make this a podcast per se, but it just makes sense now, right? This is where we are.
Yeah.
And like I said, we're glad that you came down, but we could probably call you like a multi-property founder as opposed to just a property founder, because you've got multiple businesses. So the one is the development company, the other is the estate agency, and the consultancy business, right? Am I missing anything else, or those are the main three?
They're the main three.
So maybe even starting on the businesses, like how did they come about? Like what was the journey for the development, the estate agency, and then the consultancy?
Coming out of school, decided, okay, I want to get into property investment, buy a property, do it up, flip it, make a profit. But I thought to do that, I need capital and also just to survive. And also I was ambitious. I like, okay, I want to live a nice lifestyle.
Yeah.
I need cash flow. I need income. So I started working in sales as a self-employed estate agent, where it's no base salary, no guaranteed income, but it's eat what you kill. And then with that, you develop the skill of sales, your whole character develops. So I remember being because I was very introverted and shy growing up. And I remember looking at the phone about to do my first ever cold call and just heart pounding, like that cortisol
hoping
release.
it goes to voicemail.
Hoping it goes to voicemail, and you pick it up and it's horrible and you stumble on your words, but then the next one's a little bit easier and the next one's a little bit easier. I'd also do door to door. So I'd go door knocking as an agent. you go knock on the door of properties that are for sale with other agents, saying, hey, how are you getting on with your current agent? If you're not happy, we'd love to have a conversation with you. I remember the first time I went out door knocking, it was like middle of winter, 8 o'clock at night, pissing down with rain, knocked on a door and just being told to I was told, F off. I wouldn't list my house with you if you were the last estate agent on earth.
Wow.
I must have just caught them on a bad day or whatever. But obviously it can't get much worse than that. Then you do that 1,000 times, eventually build up this resilience. So I'm very grateful for kind of how that develops my character. But working as an agent, I enjoyed deal making, doing that. When I was 19, I bought my first property with an £8,500 deposit. So it was an £80,000 house, 10% deposit, plus legals, managed to get in for like 8.5, 9 grand. It was motivated seller, got it for a good price. He was essentially a convicted sex offender that'd come out of prison, but didn't want to go back into the house on the street where he was giving piano lessons to the other kids on the street because his kneecaps wouldn't last very long. So he just wanted to get rid of it. I'd made an offer, got accepted, and then just didn't have the money to refurb it. But I've always had this mindset of just, I'll figure it out. Like, I know when the gun is to your head, you'll figure things out. You only know how resourceful you are until being resourceful is your only option. Yeah. And I just refurbed it on credit cards, living paycheck to paycheck, borrowed a bit of money from some friends and just got it done. And then sold that for a profit. Suddenly you've got like 30 odd grand in my bank account. I'm like, okay, cool. Roll that into another one. So that was kind of what happened on the property investment side. The estate agency side, I did that for a number of years and then decided I want to go all in on investment development. And then, we've got now obviously development in Cambridgeshire of 17 houses in the pipeline. We're imminently actually exchanging and completing on like a lot of commercial conversions. We're buying it's currently a 23 bedroom hotel that will convert to HMO rooms. We've got an office building we're buying, which will convert to 11 rooms, 11 self-contained large HMO rooms and a couple others like that.
What's the GDV on the Cambridgeshire?
That Cambridgeshire project is like a 9 million.
Okay.
The hotel project I just mentioned is between 1.4, 1.6, depending on what we get planning for. The other office to resi conversion, that would be 1.2 maybe. But really, I don't have ambitions to be a house builder. And maybe this is a separate conversation. I'm not convinced the risk to reward is there of like ground up developments, or at least I haven't got the appetite for it. Unless you're a contractor or you've got an edge when it comes to construction, or you've got cheap capital, it doesn't make sense to me. So conversions where your planning is more favorable, your total cost stack, the construction cost is a smaller percentage of overall cost. So if there's any variance on that, the deal isn't super sensitive to the margin being wiped out. And also, that's more of a personal investment vehicle for me in the sense of like, I've got a great business partner there, but I don't want to be spending all day, every day on that. For me, my main focus is now the estate agency business, which I started a few years back. And really it's the self-employed model of agency where we provide a platform for individual brokers to come and sell. We focus on high-end property, so £1 million plus. We provide a strong enough platform and brand and training where you can command high fees. So we charge from the highest fees in the industry, 2.5%, plus VAT. So on a £2 million house, that's a £50,000 fee. Now it's a win for the seller because, I believe with every bone in my body, we can get the best possible result for that client. And the difference on a £2 million house between a great agent and a bad agent can be a swing of 10%. It can be 200 grand. Yeah. So actually sometimes going with a cheaper agent is the more expensive option. And so on a £2 million house, where the fee is 50 grand, an agent taking home 50% of that, they're making 25,000 on one transaction. And I've got, one agent in the business, for example, drives a Lamborghini Aventador, which is unheard of for estate agents.
Yeah. Is that Damien?
That's Damien.
Yeah, okay.
But that's that's really where the focus is now. So we're about to put the foot on the gas in terms of recruiting, bringing on more talent, giving them the best training possible, the best resources possible to go out, get great results for their clients, and then get paid rewardingly in return as well. And maybe take that out to the Middle East in the not too distant future. So
I think that would be fun. I wanted to unpack that, right? So Luxury Property Partners obviously is the estate agency brand. Andrew and I both worked as estate agents. I worked for an independent.
I didn't know that.
For Foxtons.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Foxtons,
But it's interesting to see how your business is positioned. I saw Damien in Henley on Thames.
Okay.
And I think it was outside the house that you guys were selling, and he pulled up in a Lambo. And I remember seeing the estate agency board, and it was just his face. And I was like, interesting. Like, you don't really see boards with just people's faces on there. So it's become now more, I guess, personal branding. So what would you say, how do you see the estate agency industry like shifting to what you're trying to do?
Yeah.
Because I know that's very popular in America, as opposed to, let's say, where it is now and how estate agents operate now.
I mean, I just saw the shift happening within the industry. Like, I was a self-employed broker, but when I was self-employed, when I was younger, it was quite rare. There really wasn't many people in the UK doing that. And then over the years, I saw more and more agencies and agents pivoting to this model. And it makes sense in the sense of, one, it's not a new concept. Like, I believe the Australians are actually the best real estate agents in the world. So when I was an agent, I was studying the Australians, and you'd have guys there making 7 figures a year take-home income as agents, and their dialogue and the way they design kind of how they invest their time and everything else that goes into being a successful broker, like they had it figured out. The US, of course, it's been like that for many years. Dubai, it's very much the same. It's really only in the UK where we've had this traditional agency. It's been a race to the bottom in terms of fees because they commoditize their service. It's just like, who can do it for the cheapest fee, which when a race to the bottom, you never want to win that race. So for clients, when they're looking to sell their property with an agent, they've got an agent that's not really that incentivized to sell it. And that agent is having to, take on a silly amount of listings to be able to actually justify making any kind of meaningful income. And so then they can't give that same level of dedication of service to each client. So I saw the shift that was happening, and I thought, okay, well, how do I design a business? And I think it's so key when you're going into a business or setting up a business, you be very, very intentional with how you design it. And I said, well, I want to create this environment like meritocracy where agents that do well, they're rewarded for that. So for example, when I was an agent, maybe when you worked at Foxtons, Andrew, you could get a great result for a client on a certain road. That sold board goes up. The neighbors think, oh, Foxtons did well there. I'm going to call the Foxtons office. And then your colleague is the one that picks up the phone and gets the lead.
Yeah, and you don't.
Off the back of your success.
Yeah.
So that's not fair. That doesn't make sense. So I wanted to really put the spotlight on the individual agent. So I really want it to be actually when maybe in Henley on Thames, for example, where Damien is, I don't want them to think, oh, let's call LPP. It's like, I'm going to call Damien because Damien's going to be rewarded because he's the one where he's on all the sold boards, he's on the direct mail cards we've seen, he's on the social media, but they can see he's powered by LPP, which gives him the resources he needs to do his job effectively. So it was that. We provide executive assistant support to all of our agents because, well, we've worked in sales before. We know the best salespeople are crap at admin.
Bro.
They're not even, they don't like doing admin, and it's not a good use of their time. I don't want an agent spending God knows how much time in front of his computer trying to do an AML check on a client and then write the copy for the brochure and then upload the photos from here to the CRM in the right order.
I said this is the same thing for tech sales.
Yeah.
Literally, admin should be outsourced.
I just want them going out doing the stuff that makes them income, which is prospecting and lead gen, it's listing appointments, and it's hosting open houses and negotiating offers. Everything else is a waste of time. Well, actually, creating content is another one as well. I want them to be building their brands. So I'd rather they do that, and then instead we have a team of very well-trained executive assistants that can get it done properly.
Okay. I asked you this before, but for the audience, why the luxury property market? Because, you know, a lot of people say, oh, you know, you got too high end, you know, during COVID, the luxury property market, that, I guess, bubble burst and people weren't buying luxury now. You know, high stamp duty costs, high costs in general, right? But why that end of the market and not mid-market?
I mean, we don't do too much in London, where you have like the super prime market, which has definitely been hit. The market across the UK, especially I call it the upper quarter of the market. So £1 million plus, sometimes will drop below that if it's still an attractive property that fits the brand. The benefit of higher price point is it takes this, let's say you compare a 400 grand house, selling a 400 grand house to a £4 million house. It doesn't take 10 times as long, or it's not 10 times as hard to sell a £4 million house over a £400,000 house. So there's an asymmetry there. It's like, okay, cool. And then actually, in terms of charging in the percentage fee, I actually believe it's easier to justify a 2.5-3% fee to the seller of a £4 million property than it is to a £400,000 property. Because I don't really want to generalize here, but the owner of a £4 million property, typically when they're business owners, they understand the difference between price and value. They understand that actually you have to pay more to get more. You have to pay premium. Whereas sometimes the psychology of those that aren't business owners or whatever, they don't quite understand that. And it's like, all estate agents are the same. I'm just going to go with the cheapest agent I can find. There is obviously the market volatility, or there's more of a market risk associated with that. But I believe for the best agents, it doesn't really matter whether the market's going up or down. It just matters, are there still transactions happening? And in the tougher markets, it's actually when the better agents can get more results, because while the other agencies are maybe getting a bit complacent, their strategy is typically stick it on Rightmove, hope the phone rings. When the market turns the other way, that strategy doesn't work. And so it's the agents that actually can advise and consult and educate a client properly that win the business and can still dominate those seasons.
And what's the goal with the agency? So you mentioned the Middle East, right? Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
I can't say too much right now, unfortunately. But I'm very bullish on the Middle East. I've spent the last 2 years learning Arabic. One, because I wanted to learn a language. And then secondly, it was like, if I'm going to learn a language, what language is probably going to create the most opportunity?
Yeah.
And if you go out and speak to Saudis, Emiratis, and you can demonstrate that you've invested time and money and effort into learning about their culture and their language, they welcome it very well. So
I feel like, you know how you was talking about earlier, success leaves clues. I feel sometimes your next steps leaves clues. Because when you was learning Arabic, I was like, why specifically Arabic? I said, this guy's going out there. But I don't know if you wanted to, you know, talk on.
We have ambitions.
Out there,
we have ambitions to go out to the Middle East. I mean, as much as I'd love to share, there's some sensitivities.
Fair.
So I've got to be careful
No exclusive today, man.
what I say. But we can circle back on this in the not too distant future, maybe, and see how things progress. But yeah, it's learning Arabic, for example, it's a chess move.
Yeah.
I was thinking 3, 4, 5 moves ahead.
And then you're actually focusing on multiple businesses, as I mentioned earlier, right? Now, you probably get this question quite often, where many people say, just focus on one thing before you branch out to others. You've kind of done the opposite in some way, right? Like you've got multiple businesses that you're running at the same time. Why is that?
I think it's something that happened organically and probably wasn't so intentional or by design. It can work and it can't work. The way it can work, for it to work, you need to have a certain level of leverage. So if you're trying to start 2 businesses from scratch at the same time, that's going to be very difficult, because really when you're starting a business from scratch, the only leverage you really have is your kind of brute force, time and energy output. But if you, and maybe like Elon is a great example of this, like you just lose track of all the things that he's working on, but he's got huge capital resources. He's got huge brand which can attract not just capital, but some of the best talent in the world. That means really, and what he says or how he says he does it is, all he has to do is just focus on what is the one problem, the one bottleneck in that individual business at any given time. And then he's obviously got capital and team and everything else that handles the rest. So it's been a learning experience to me, and I've had to, that constraint on, because you only have so many units of focus per day and units of time per day, that constraint has created an element of resourcefulness where I've had to get better at delegating, better at leadership, better at giving team members ownership over certain metrics to grow the business. But probably going into the next season of my life now, I do want to regain that singularity of focus, and it's making a decision around, okay, it's a question I ask myself daily. It's like, what is it I want? And now I'm at a point where I'm thinking of such a longer term time horizon. It's like, what do I want the next 10, 20 years to bring me? And which opportunity, which vehicle is going to be best placed to give me that? And then start to invest more time into that.
Fair. And what are you currently bringing to those businesses? Because you're in different businesses. As much as they're under the umbrella of property and the industry of property, they're doing different things, right? So what do you feel is like your unique value that you bring to those businesses today?
I'm very much a personality type. I'll use the word visionary, but I'm like more of I can architect kind of the future and the direction of the business wants to go. I can think big. I can think in terms of scale, think in terms of systems, kind of figure out this is what the business needs to look like.
Yeah.
What I've always needed is like what they call an integrator, someone that can actually then go and really do the work and execute that. And I've done that, and I've been that role. But I've now realized for me to get into that next stage of my career it's really having that number two that can do that sort of stuff. So I've always worked well with partnerships. So for example, the property investment development stuff I've done, I've always had business partners, and I like finding these 1 + 1 = 4 dynamics where the output of both of you is exponentially more than what it could be.
Yeah.
So in the property investment development stuff, what I bring to the table there is, through my personal brand and through the trust and attention that I've built, raising finance is something that becomes a little bit more effortless to me than to maybe someone else that doesn't have that same resource. In terms of what I lack is, I'm not a construction expert. I don't want to be a construction expert. I've got no desire to be on site on construction sites. And so on maybe like a couple of the conversions I mentioned there, I've got a business partner. His name's Jamie on those projects, and he knows construction inside out. He's spent the last decade or two on construction sites. He gets it. But for him, he doesn't understand, or he can, but doesn't have the same power when it comes to fundraising as me. So he can go out, identify a project. He knows how to project manage it. He's competent enough to deliver £1 million scheme, but he comes to me and says, Tyler, do we want to go ahead with this project? Yes or no? So I can make a yes or no decision. And if the answer is yes, it's okay, how much capital do we need to find?
Yeah.
It's like, well, we could get commercial finance, maybe 400 grand. We need to find 250 of equity or 300 grand of equity. It's like, cool. I can go out to my network, utilize social media, find that capital. And then all of the admin stuff, I've got an executive assistant as well. So you could probably argue I'm not actually doing that much, but the leverage that I have through brand, trust and attention at scale, I don't need to be spending hours and hours and hours of my time.
Yeah.
The education stuff we do, like that's not really something I spend a huge amount of time on either. But the agency now, where we're shifting gears there, my big focus is recruitment. And there's only 2 metrics that I need to focus on. It's how many agents do we have and how much income is each agent producing for the business and for themselves. If I can just grow those 2 numbers.
How many agents on board currently?
We're just under 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you want to get it to?
500.
Okay. In what time span?
Over the next 5 to 7 years.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm 28 now, and I've got what's left, a 7-year plan to get my ventures to a certain size by 35.
Yeah.
Okay.
With the 7-year plan, so look, the 7 year is it a 10-year or 7-year plan? Or you got 7 years left? Or
7 years left.
By
okay,
35
yeah.
years.
Okay, cool. Speaking of plans as well, so Ross and I spoke about this. I don't know if we spoke about it in the last episode of this, but clarity creates a pathway. That was one of our biggest takeaways from the mastermind in Dubai. Was even though everyone there was like, especially the participants were 6-figure business owners, clarity was still something that I could say everyone was struggling with.
Sure.
Right. But one of the things that we walked away with from there was the clarity in terms of where we wanted to get to. You speak a lot about that. Like, I love going back to the beginning, the origin. Like, where did clarity come from? Like, how did you get to that point where you felt I needed a clarity? You speak of things like mission statements as well. You know,
It's something that's kind of evolved the more I've like spent time reflecting on my own journey and learning from others. The first kind of memory I think I have of learning the importance of clarity was that first mentor I had in property, that 4-day workshop that he did. I remember on day 1 or maybe day 2, he would do this exercise. We'd go around the room and he'd ask someone to kind of just talk about a goal that they had. It could be a materialistic goal, it could be something else. Some people talking about, I mean, they're much older, like family and this, that. Me being like a 17-year-old kid, was like, I want a nice car.
yeah.
And so it was like, I remember saying, you know, I would love to be able to drive around in a Range Rover. He said, okay, but that's not good enough. I was like, what do you mean? He said, well, what color's the Range Rover? I was like, probably black. He's like, well, have you got the tinted windows? Have you not got the tinted windows? What color are the wheels? What's the style of wheels? Have you got the side steps? What's about the interior? How do you feel driving it? And the point he was trying to make is just, you really got to get clear on your goal. And that particular example of that exercise is when you have more clarity you have, and you really think about a goal, it creates this emotional response. And that emotional response is kind of allows you to kind of, again, keep moving with in a certain state. And I think we spoke about it on the train coming up as well. One of the things you really need to get clear on is, who do you want to become, or who do you need to become? Yeah. Because the version of yourself that's living this life that you want to achieve, and the version of yourself of who you are right now, are two totally different people. And we spend a lot of time visualizing what we want, but I think most people don't spend enough time visualizing, who do I need to become? When you have clarity on like, what does that future version of myself look like? And then you can you can really just step into being that person. You have that clarity. You just be so much more intentional with your decisions, your behaviors. And you said on the web here, Andrew, like you present with a decision, your framework for making that decision is, what would that future version of myself do? Not what do I want to do? It's like, what would that future version of myself do? And you apply that to every decision you make, suddenly reality starts to bend in your favor.
Yeah, that's been big for me recently as well, in terms of chasing that person. I think there's a quote by, I don't know if it's a Brazilian poet, you might have heard of it, because I think I've heard you say it as well, is you build the garden that attracts the
Don't chase butterflies.
Chase the butterfly.
Build a beautiful garden.
Build a beautiful garden that will attract the butterfly. Okay. And that, in layman's terms, is you don't chase the success. You build the person, or you basically build the person that's going to be successful.
So you attract it.
So you attract success, right? What are the traits of that?
If you acquire the knowledge of being a millionaire, the skills of being a millionaire, so the skill of sales, marketing, leadership, operations, whatever, you create an environment around you that is similar to millionaires in terms of people you surround yourself with and the conversations you have. You adopt the belief system of certain millionaires. Eventually, you will just become a millionaire. And we've quoted Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn, he also said, become a millionaire not for the $1 million, but for who you will become as a result of that. Yeah. And it's just, and it's the same reason when someone wins a lottery, that there's all these statistics that within however long they've lost it all, because they had the money, but they didn't have the character. Didn't develop the character traits, become the person they needed to become to.
And it's in the small things, like again, I have friends that might mock the morning routine or the certain things I do, but I'm like, it's not about the money or the things I'm trying to attain. I'm literally chasing the traits that I know I need to have and the characteristics I know I need to have in order to deal with what's to come. Because there's times where I have certain situations where even just managing money or making certain decisions, like you said on the way up, I'd answer those questions like, how would this person deal with this situation?
I do that a lot.
Would he be nervous? Would he be very decisive? Okay, what do I need to do to become very decisive? It could be in small decisions, like just ordering food at a restaurant, right?
Yeah.
You've probably sat down with people that would just be sitting there for
Drives me
ages.
fucking nuts.
And honestly,
Yeah.
I hate that, right?
I think there was something funny as well that I read. Mark Zuckerberg, right, when he just eliminated the ability to choose. So I think he had a white t-shirt and trousers for every single day of the
Steve
week.
Jobs is similar as well.
And it just removes that delay, right? Because it's like, okay, if you're spending an hour figuring out what you're gonna wear, then like, what's the point? It's just such a minor decision. Just get on with it. But that clarity is so important. I think off the back of Dubai, we definitely realized that there wasn't.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because everyone thinks that they're clear on their goals, but when it actually gets to it, like, and you dig really deep, are you really clear?
Oh, I want to make more money. Well,
How much?
how much more?
Yeah.
Why?
We were speaking. So we had a chat with we're currently hiring for like a CFO position, right? We had a chat with a guy, and he was like, "Yeah, I got a vision board. You know, I know what I want." And we're just like, "How much do you want to earn?" And he was like, "Oh, I'd be cool with 2 million." I was like, "Okay, what's that like? What, 2 million in how many years? Like, what does it look like?" And then when we started kind of talking about our goals, he was just like, "Okay."
I had to go and revise mine.
But it was just like very specific in terms of the numbers, the monthly numbers, and then, what that looks like. But I guess it was really off the back of, again, Dubai and us figuring out, okay, you know what, need to get really clear on what it is that we want.
Yeah. Even that, again, I keep going back to, there's so much to talk about, man. Like, even with going back to Dubai and the mission statements, and that's something I've developed now. So like, I know what my life looks like 5-10 years ahead in terms of where I'm going to be waking up, the car that my wife that I don't even have yet is going to be driving, the house we're going to live in, the square footage of that house. Like, is it going to be gated? Is there going to be a guest house? The watches I'm going to have for every deal that we close or a major milestone. I didn't have that prior to Dubai, right? And the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because being in certain rooms, you meet certain type of people that can shift, the direction you're heading in and give you that clarity. So there's a lot of people that we know that are either interested in property or wanting to start out, or just in business, right? What do you think of things like networking events, right? If you were someone that was starting out, would you recommend going to a networking event, or would you recommend going to a mastermind?
I think final point on the comment, the clarity thing is just like the reason most people don't get what they want out of life is just because they don't know what they want out of life. And I think for those listening, it's a really good habit to get into, just asking yourself consistently every day, what do I want? And when you ask yourself questions, your brain comes up with answers. And if you ask yourself the wrong questions, your brain will come up with answers. If you're like, oh, why am I so depressed? Why is this not working? Why can't I do this? Your brain will come up with answers and will just reinforce that. So you gotta be very careful what questions you ask yourself. You ask yourself, what do I want? It might take you a few days, a few weeks, a few months, it might take you longer, but eventually you'll start to come up with answers.
Yeah.
So the first question, or the first thing you need to figure out when it comes to property is what do I want? Some people, their goal is, if I can just replace my income and make £3,000 per month, I'm good. I'm retired. So that's fine. And there's nothing wrong with that. I know you guys like me, it's a personality type. It's like, we want to play a bigger game. Like, we want to play in the big leagues. That's what's exciting. That's a meaningful mission to us. And if that's you, okay, it's cool. Whatever the goal is, go and identify people that have those results that you want and just go all in, do as much as you can to learn from them, consume their content, get in proximity with them. Networking events, in terms of like the traditional property networking events and business network events, they serve a purpose, especially the early stages of your career. And it's actually hard to get clarity when you don't even know what's possible, what's out there. Yeah. So just use them as more of a tool of discovery, understand what are the different strategies, who's doing what, but you want to be very intentional. So I think when you're going to these networking events, don't just go sit in the back of the room, not say hi to anyone, and just hope that you learn things. It's like, I'm going to introduce myself to 5 people. I'm going to connect on WhatsApp or social media with 5 people that are doing things that I want to do, and see if there's any value I can provide to them. Or let's say you decide, oh, I want to be successful at service accommodation or rent to rents or HMOs, whatever it is. Go to the person that's hosting that event and saying, hey, this is who I am. I'm really ambitious, really hungry to be successful at HMOs in this area. Who in this room should I connect with that you think could be valuable? And they'll be like, oh, we should meet this person, meet that person. And they'll go over and introduce you. Yeah. So there are people that go to these events and create loads of opportunities for themselves. There's people that go to these events and sit at the back of the room, don't say hi to anyone, and think, oh, that was a waste of time. So it's very much like you got to create opportunity, which is a skill set. But beyond that, if you want to play in the big leagues, you really want to accelerate your growth, just going on like these £30 networking events are really going to get you so far. And I mean, I'll let you guys like answer that one because you experienced that firsthand, right? You were like, oh no, Tyler, we've been in rooms with property people before, but there's different levels of rooms.
I do remember that. I remember the conversation vividly. And Rossi was on the call, sat on the Zoom call, and I was like, nah. It was mainly me saying no, right?
I was just kind of like, I don't see why we need to go to like a 2-day mastermind. Yeah. Like I've seen it on social media. Doesn't look like anything special. Yeah.
But I think also it was like, you don't want to, it's again, perspective, right? Initially I was saying, I don't want to be some course junkie that's just going on different courses and nothing's really changing. But the biggest takeaway was, again, being in that room with other people that one had paid pretty much the same amount that you've paid to get in there, and then what they were doing, what their ambitions and their plans were, and then learning something that you didn't know previously as well, that expanded your way of thinking and your mindset to what was possible. And I think walking away, oh man, I still remember the feeling. As we left, I was like, listen, we have to make it. And I think that's the benefit of also having a business partner as well, where you could just literally bounce things off.
Sure.
And him being in the same room as me to experience what I was experiencing. Because we said earlier about sometimes you can bring a friend along and they could just be sitting there on their phone and just like, you're just not getting it, right? Yeah,
wake them up, like, yeah.
But the fact that there was times where we all sat across the table, I was looking at this guy, he's looking at me. I'm just like, listen, I just want to get out of this room to get to work. But that switched my mind in understanding the value of masterminds, because like you said, there's only so far you can go with these, free events or £30 events where you're typically seeing the same type of people that want to get similar stuff. Some people are just going there to try and find investors. And if everyone's in a room trying to look for investors and the investor's not there, then, or if it's just one investor, you're not going to find that.
Yeah. I love networking events simply because, again, I'm very intentional. So if I go into a room and I'm going to an event, I know what I'm trying to get out of it, especially now because there is a lot of beginners. And I guess some seasoned people look at it and say, I don't really want to be in a room full of beginners. So I still see the benefit of the networking events, again, like you said. But yeah, when it comes to the masterminds, it's just a different level.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing as well is people pay money for masterminds and then maybe say it didn't work out or, I didn't get any results. And I think more so it's in the network that you build of the people in the room. Because if you're spending 10 grand on a mastermind and everybody else has spent 10 grand on that same mastermind, like the person delivering the course, of course, like you want to get close to them, but you probably want to get more closer to everybody else in the room, because in 10 years time or 20 years time, or even in 5 years time, what's everyone in that room going to be doing? And again, that's the network that you can lean on. So like off the back of Dubai, we've created a mastermind call like with all the guys, and it's just great. We hopped on one the other day, and it's just great to see what
I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's great to see what everyone's doing, keeping up, and just seeing, because everyone's in so many different businesses like e-commerce, landscaping, property development. So it's like, what challenges are you facing in your business, and like how can we all help each other? So it's like off the back of that, we've now got friends and associates who we can again lean on as well.
Yeah, and you're filtering out as well, because like I said, low barrier of entry, there's more people in the room that again, they could be doing anything, but they might not be doing much either. But you know, when you're going to an event or a mastermind where there's a certain barrier of entry, not too many people are willing to drop maybe 10 grand on something, or 15 or 20, 30, 40. There's so many masterminds that are out there that you hear is like 40, 50 grand, right? And if you can get into the room, it's just being around those people. You got to pay to play at some point, right?
Got to pay to play.
And you're going to pay one way or another, either through your time or through, you know, your resource, which is money. But another thing we learned in Dubai is like, money is abundant. It's going to come back if you believe it. But time isn't something that's coming back, whether you believe it or not. That's just a fact. And I don't want to pay just with my time if I know I can pay to be in that room and be around people that are 8, 9 figure entrepreneurs, especially in a position of where I want to get to, and learn how did you get from A to B. So yeah, for me, it's a no-brainer. I think if you're thinking of doing it, it's an investment on yourself, which you should always see as an infinite ROI. But if you want to be around people, if you want to enhance your network, be around like A players, then you need to be in these type of rooms personally.
For sure.
I think one thing I would say though, because I think the biggest barrier to these things is money. So people look at the masterminds and have maybe certain limiting beliefs, like, oh, why is someone going to pay 20 grand to learn what they can learn or read in a book or watch on a YouTube video? So for the people that are not starting out with much money, what advice would you give them to, I guess, if they're starting out in their journey, or maybe if they're a few years in, what advice would you give to them when it comes to, number one, investing in themselves, but then number two, like getting to that big league and I guess getting into those kind of rooms?
I mean, you can still get in proximity with people without having to pay big tickets. One thing is, maybe we could talk about personal branding and the power of it, but like building your personal brand and demonstrating kind of like showcasing the mission you're on, the value that you can provide, what you're doing. That's one of the best ways to kind of attract people into your network that also align with that you could partner with, learn from, etc. So that's one thing that really served me well in my earlier stages. I could connect with people that were doing cool stuff as well. And then you end up going for dinners with them and spending time with them. And just through that osmosis, you're picking things up. The main thing, like the core philosophy, the heart of it is like what Andrew mentioned, is like, you just can pay with time or you can pay with money. And I never had really any desire in my earlier stages to like save money. I was like, with how much money I'm making, I know I can't save my way to $1 billion. So it's just like, but I would rather learn the skill sets, acquire the knowledge that can make me more. So I never optimized for saving money. It was always making more money. And I knew the route to making more money was acquiring more knowledge, more skill sets, more network. So this is not what I'm advising as such, but what I did and what worked for me is like, I would just happily empty my bank account because I backed myself. I took on the responsibility that if I'm making this investment, I'm not going there and just, it's all on the responsibility of the teacher that's front of the room to give me the answers. It's, I know I've got to show up. I got to be the one asking questions. I got to be the one shaking hands with other people in the room, building the relationships, and then going out and taking action. And so when you show up with that level of like accountability on yourself, and you follow through on that, then of course there's always going to be a return. And I just knew as well, you know, I've spent, I think $25,000 and more. I'm going on an event next month, which is like $35,000. And I just know, actually, when I was presented the opportunity, one, I was very decisive. I was like, there was all of these thoughts were coming into my mind as like, but I'm going to be there. My rule is I'll pay whatever price I need to get around great people. But I just knew, well, who else is going to be there that's also willing to pay that kind of money? And I also knew I just have to learn one thing. There'll be one soundbite, one piece of information that I don't even know. I don't know what that could be right now, but I'll hear it and it will just give me this whole paradigm shift or something that I can implement that there'll be an ROI. But back to your question, Ross, about like beginners. Get around great people, do the audiobooks. You can get a lot of audiobooks, podcasts, being very intentional with your learning, kind of identify the deficits in your knowledge and skill sets. It's like, okay, cool. If I recognize sales isn't a skill set I've developed, I need to develop that. It's the most valuable skill set I can develop. You can read the books, watch the videos, and obviously go out and do it. Communication, marketing, whatever. If you recognize actually you're holding on to some belief systems that aren't serving you, do the work on that, understand how to kind of replace those beliefs. And then the money should come. And then you can reinvest.
Yeah. I'd even add one more to that as well, is it doesn't need to be like at that stage if you don't have the money to, even though I still believe you can go and get the money, but again, that's a mindset thing, is we speak about being in a different environment in terms of like your gym, right? Rather than going to, I'm not going to say the names, but like 24-hour gyms that, you know, you pay 15,
you ain't meeting a
20
billionaire in
pounds.
Pure Gym. Like, it's not happening.
You know, 50,
That's the biggest thing you can do, because in wherever you live, that most expensive gym near you probably isn't completely out of budget, but it's going to act as a hub for all the other wealthy people in your area. They're going to want to train at that gym.
100%.
No, off the back of that, it's so funny because when I changed my gym to a higher price gym, as soon as you just get in the car park, it's just like, okay,
Different.
like we're playing a different level here. Rolls Royce, Cullinans, McLarens. I'm like, okay, cool. And then it's like on the gym floor, no one's really talking, but where the business goes down and what I notice is the jacuzzi and the sauna. That's where the conversations happen.
100%.
Like, what do you do? And yeah, I've met so many, I guess, cool people off the back of that and built good relationships. But yeah, environment.
Simple things like conversation starters, talk about a watch. The other day I saw a guy in the sauna, had a Garmin.
I'll tell you a story about the sauna story, what it led to. I can't say too much because there's some sensitivities.
Yeah.
But I'm in the sauna, and again, I'm just like, I'm going to start a conversation with someone. He's a young guy from a country out in the Middle East, and he's studying in London. And we just connect and we just get on. We exchange social media. He can obviously see what I'm doing. So I'm building my brand, posting content, see him at the gym, really make an effort. Like I'll always invest in a relationship, if that means money, time, whatever. And not from like what can I get out of it? One, because I want to, and I want to be a good person, but I also know there will be opportunities that present themselves. So anyway, this friend of mine, he left London, moved back to where he's from in the Middle East. I won't say what country, but he basically said, if you ever come to my country in the Middle East, please let me know. I'll host you. And I'm in Dubai, which isn't the where this guy's from, but I'm planning. My friend I'm with in Dubai, he's like, oh, I'm gonna go meet an investor in this country nearby in the Middle East, and do you want to come? I was like, sure, I know someone there. We should hit him up and he can show us around. Because he said, like, if you ever come to my country, I'll take the day off work and I'll show you the city that I'm from. So we fly in, I hit him up, and he says, oh, cool, I'll make some plans. Have you ever been to a majlis before? And a majlis in Arab culture is like a sitting room that they have with kind of sofas or seats around the walls, where the guys just have coffee, eat dates, chat, whatever. It's just a very kind of social thing. And he said, oh, we'll go to the majlis of this sheikh. I won't say the sheikh's name, but I then Google the sheikh, and he's like the ruling family, and like the top of the ruling family is in like his brother is the ruler of that country.
Oh, wow.
And he's like the third richest man in that country. And like to be the third richest man in that country is like you've put some numbers on the scoreboard.
Yeah.
And so then I just find myself in the majlis next to this guy in this family where all of his sons are there. One of the sons is the head of foreign investments. One is the head of real estate investments. That next day, actually, I was with them. Trump was flying into that country on his Middle Eastern tour, and they were hosting him. So they were preparing for that. And I'm just there, sat like in a room with tens of billions, just chatting about real estate, and all originated from just making that decision. I'm going to go to the most expensive gym I can find, which where I'm in London is like £500 a month. And I'm just going to say hi to people and build a relationship. And then And that's just one story.
Literally. No, even to a point where now I start working from the gym a couple of times a week.
Yeah.
And conversations you can have, because we said it, with London it's a bit different. So when someone overhears a conversation, I could just be saying, could you sort out this tenancy agreement for this person? Or process this. And I'm talking to the virtual assistant about this. Someone overhears a conversation. What do you do? Like, are you managing properties? Or are you a landlord? Or what is it? And from there, a new connection starts. So it's one of the main things I say to friends when they ask me, like, why do you go to that gym? It's so expensive. I was like, it's just a mindset. You're thinking
You've got
so
to
much
create
about
the
the
opportunities,
price,
though.
right? Yeah.
You've got to create the opportunities. Yeah.
Definitely.
I was at a bar like last weekend, and a friend of mine was sat in this bar. He's complaining that he's not getting enough attention from chicks. I was like, well, what have you done? He's like, he's actually done nothing. Yeah. So I'm like, look, you got to create opportunity. So I just said to the waiter, I was like, oh, those two pretty girls over there, do you know them? Like, oh yeah, they come here often. I was like, they have boyfriends? No. I was like, okay, cool. Whatever they're drinking, send some over. And if they're okay with it, I'd love to go over and say hi. Sent the drinks over. They're like, oh yeah, the waiter come back, said, yeah, they're really grateful. They'd love you to go say hi. I go say hi. And then before you know, we're having a conversation with these beautiful ladies, get their numbers. I invite my friend over and I'm like, you create opportunities. Like it's a skill set.
Honestly, I agree.
So literally everything that you have been mentioning, it just seems like it's a downstream from building your personal brand.
Yeah.
And I think that was probably the biggest takeaway for me. Like you said, like all you need is just one thing that you take away from a specific event, mastermind, interaction. And in Dubai, Daniel Priestley, I would have paid the money just to like sit down with him for that one day. Like everything else was great, but like just that one day, it was worth everything. And I remember me and Andrew, like after that, we just like, man, like it was crazy. But again, that one piece of or that one nugget that we walked away from was personal brand. So for you, everything that you've done seems like it's a downstream from you building your personal brand, building LLP, having a partnership with Newman Rose, and I guess the education side, which is a massive part of it. What are your when did you understand that personal brand was as important as it is? And what's that journey been like for you up until now?
I mean, when I first started putting content on social media, there was no real, I was not thinking like many moves ahead. I wasn't thinking like, I want to build my personal brand. If anything, it was like, oh, my friends that were clowning me at school while they're at uni, I've just bought my first investment property. I'm just going to like low key just be like,
look at
yo,
this,
yeah. And like, I was never like too obnoxious about it or anything. But then you put that out there and then you see the positive response that you get and the messages. And it's like, okay, cool. There's some level of impact that this is having. And then you do more and more. And then I remember I probably saw Daniel Priestley speak years and years back. Like I read his book, Key Person Influence, the early stages of my career in a estate agency. Because I thought if I build my personal brand there within the marketplace I operate in, I can win more listings, win more clients. But fast forward to now, it's really, I've recognized it as it's the highest ROI thing I can be doing. And maybe now you guys have been on this journey of creating content. You've seen the opportunity that it presents. But fundamentally, we've all heard the saying that income follows assets and income follows attention. Building a personal brand, creating content is basically just creating at scale the ability for people to know, like, and trust you without you having to go and meet them. Like we're having this conversation now where hopefully we've shared some value. I can have this conversation once with you guys and it can be viewed an infinite amount of times, 24/7 online. There's probably someone listening to this right now, 6 months into the future at 1 o'clock in the morning. You're saying these things, that's very powerful. And the human mind can't really distinguish the difference between spending time with someone in person versus virtually in terms of building trust with someone. And you see this when prominent big public figures pass away, for example. So I mean, like Princess Diana, different probably generation older than us. Because I mean, I think it was the same year I was born. Yeah, I think it was the same year I was born.
I still remember it on TV.
But a lot of people in the older generation, they're like, I still remember that. People were crying off the back, even though they'd never met Princess Diana, just because they'd spent time with her on TV, etc., and getting to know who she was. It builds that emotional connection. When Robin Williams passed away. I remember where I was when Kobe Bryant passed away.
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson, I remember where I was.
remember
And so that demonstrates the point that you can build a relationship with someone even without meeting them. And the more people that know, like, and trust you, the more opportunities are then just going to present themselves, because people do business with people they like, people do business with people they trust. And that can mean when it comes to raising finance for deals, you've now got, instead of having to go and shake hands with people individually and meet them, they can then watch ours now as your content. Then I get a DM saying, hey, I've just watched a load of your podcasts. I've got £500,000 I want to put to work. Have you got any opportunities? Would love to partner with you. Or it's agents who want to come work for the business with LPP. It's like, hey, so we're on the podcast talking about LPP. I like how you think. I want to come work with you. And there'll probably be people off the back of this podcast or message me like that. Your social network is in like the people, your friends and the people you attract into your life. So it's powerful there, but maybe like, one thing that's important to understand as well for those maybe the early stages of their personal branding journey or content creation or thinking about doing it, it's not just also reaching new eyeballs and growing your audience. It's also people that you meet offline. That first touch point is I meet someone at a networking event, and I could meet someone at a networking event, exchange numbers, but then nothing really happens. It's a bit of a waste of time. But if I meet someone at a networking event, we exchange numbers and they maybe follow me on social media, I follow them, they can then just see and learn so much more about me over the following weeks and months that they're going to be better nurtured. And if they're a potential investor, they meet me that once, and then they can spend really hours consuming my content, getting to know me. So when they then come to make a investment decision, which is a big decision, that trust has been built rather than having to physically wine and dine them countless times. So it's just, it's a very scalable way to get your message out there.
Yeah, there was a thing that Daniel Priestley said is like, because he focuses so much on personal brand, usually what would happen is people would meet him for the first time, but he's actually only just seen this person for the first time.
Didn't you have this conversation?
Yeah, literally.
I remember you
And
saying,
it's like, hey, Daniel. And he's like, hey, for the first person, the person I've never met before. But it's like,
I was like,
you met
Tim,
me
I watched your Ali Abdal podcast, and he was like, yeah, I bet you feel like you know me, right? And I was like, I have no clue who you are.
But it's
it
funny.
was so funny because I really felt like I knew him. It's so funny because I was at like it's like a warehouse park, right? But it's got like personal training studios.
okay,
And I was having a chat with a guy that does tints in Manchester, right? So he tints cars, and really cool guy. But me and him just got on, right? So I went down to kind of see his business and help him out with some digital marketing. But the guy next door, he pulled up to his personal studio in an Aston Martin DBS, right? And I looked and I was like, wow, like, okay. And I was like to him, wow, like, you know, what does this guy do? Like, and he's like, oh, he's got a personal training studio, but he's like, oh, it's on drip. And at the time I'm like, what's drip? And he's like, you know, like lease, innit? I was like, oh, okay. And then it just made me think, like, I was like, okay, like his perception is, oh, but it's on lease, right? The car's on lease. And in my head, it was like, whether it's on lease or not, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Like he just pulled up in a DBS and I straight away asked you what he does. Do you know what I mean? So it was like, for me, I've always understood it, but it just kind of drove home the point because it happened recently and its perception is reality. So whatever people perceive to be true, although people might have so many different opinions about it, the fact remains the same. Yeah.
the key with that, like, I think it's important to distinguish the lifestyle marketing and maybe the umbrella that this comes under of using material things, and you see all these people flashing lifestyles in Dubai and whatnot. It's good for getting attention, and it's very much like it's good marketing for like getting that initial awareness, but it doesn't convert people.
Yeah.
Like I can drive around my Lamborghini and create content, which naturally, like that kind of content serves a broader audience. People are interested. That's cool. It's a beautiful car, whatever. But someone's not going to make a commercial like investment decision to invest in me just because I've got that car. It's very much get the initial intention, and then maybe they're like, oh, who's this guy doing cool things? Before I pass judgment, let me learn a little bit more about them. They go listen to a podcast they've done, and they listen to the podcast. It's like there's actually substance behind this guy.
I like that. The substance part, I guess, is maybe where most people miss things out.
It's like that the we speak a lot about the funnels that people go through, top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel in terms of converting into that. And I think that's huge when it comes to personal brand, because I had a friend about a couple of weeks ago, his ex-colleague, he was just telling me, he watched our first episode with his wife and he was like, you guys came across so well. And I was like, I didn't really like the episode personally, but the fact that he was watching that and I haven't spoken to this guy probably in 5 years, and he's mentioning that, I want to get some advice in terms of investing in property and doing something. Can we connect with each other? Because he saw something of value from a conversation that we had, but I'm not physically with this guy, and he feels like he knows, likes, and trusts me enough to have that conversation with me. So anyone that is thinking of doing anything in business, it doesn't necessarily have to just be property. Couldn't recommend it more about just documenting and sharing more of your story.
But also, I think one thing is everybody now, I believe, understands the value of creating content and building a personal brand. Okay, let's just say more people understand.
More people, yeah.
But I think there's two different parts, right? Because there's some people that just think you should just post every single thing that you do and not really be intentional about it.
Sure.
And then there's other people that say, okay, you should just document and just tell your story, just show what you're doing. What are your thoughts on that beginner? Because you mentioned that, documenting and building a personal brand is important. What are your views on if somebody was starting out for the first time, or if they're kind of midway through their journey, how should somebody today be creating content or building a personal brand?
So you hit the nail on the head. First decision someone's got to make is that they need to understand the value of building a brand. And it's one of those things you kind of got to blindly trust what we're saying, because I get it. There's probably some, but it's only when you do it, you actually really see is like, oh, I get it now. Like it does create opportunity. Some people, maybe similar to you, Andrew, they have this belief that, oh, no, I want to be wealthy and anonymous. It's like, well, you can do that, but you are not going to be utilizing a tool that's going to help accelerate that growth and give you a form of leverage that will help you get there quicker and easier. And that's fine. Really, if we unpack that, sometimes people say, oh, I'm a private person. I want to be private. It's like, well, you can be both. You can be private about the things you want to be private about, and then be public about the things you want to be public about. You can talk about your business and the things that you're doing and the mission you're on, but then be private about your love life, your family life, your religion, whatever you want to be private about. So really, that's just a reason people come up with that, I want to be private. So the second main reason people struggle or have the fear, it's the fear of judgment. Sometimes I say, oh no, it's a fear of it not being perfect, but it's like, well, what happens if it's not perfect? It's like, oh, I'm afraid people are going to judge me for it. And actually, that fear of judgment, if you really unpack that, what you find is it's not a fear of what everyone's going to think. It's a fear of like what a handful of people that they probably know. Could be your parents, could be your siblings, could be your closest friends. You really probably don't give a fuck what everyone else thinks. And the question you have to ask yourself is, do I want that judgment from the friends to really hold me hostage and stop me from doing what I really want to do and going after a bigger, more meaningful mission? And the answer is probably no. And then again, I don't know what your guys' experience was with this. When you do post content, some people might make some comments. Sometimes actually they come back with really positive stuff and they're like, yeah, I'm glad you're doing this. But even if they make some negative comments, 6 months, 12 months, 2 years down the line, they're going to be asking you for advice. And if you've got people in your life that aren't supporting you on the mission, I'd question why they're in your life anyway. Like I don't want a lot of friends. I just want a handful of people around me that will go to war with me, that I'll go to war with them. I back their mission. They back my mission. If you don't have those people around you, then you need to start making some changes. In terms of like what content should you create? First of all, just think about documenting what you're doing anyway. Really, the key is to not overthink it too much. Document what you're doing, maybe collaborate with other people, just do something. And then as you want to grow that, what you find is the biggest personal brands, they're very intentional with how they show up in the world. Their brand, their messaging, it is engineered. It's by design. And that is, it's not just the messaging of how you want to come across and the audience you want to appeal to. Like Andrew Tate, great example of this. He knows what he's doing. He's got clear on like, what is who do I want to attract? He made a decision at one point. Is I want to go wide. I want to attract a broad audience. Well, to do that, I need to talk about broad topics a lot of people have opinions on. It's like, I want to not so much optimize for being liked. I want to be optimized for attention. So I'm going to lean into polarity. And then the way he shows up on podcasts, the way he dresses, the sunglasses, like every single thing that you see, there's thought behind it. But I would say for those that maybe want to progress, it's like, get clear on like, what is your brand? What is your story? Like, ask, who am I? What are the important things that have led up to where I am now? The bigger story arc, the smaller stories along the way. What are the values that I hold highly, like whether it's health, fitness, family, relationships, whatever. What is the mission that I'm on? And then start to put the spotlight on those things, because that's the difference between a content creator and a brand. There's a lot of content creators in the property space that are making their nice little reels and whatever, and they're getting views. But the difference between that and someone's personal brand is like, people trust a brand. It's not just surface level, it's beyond that. You know who they are on a deeper level. And one of the main things you can do to really build that trust as well, is oftentimes the stuff you feel least comfortable sharing. Like, you've great example of this. Is the stuff that actually gets the best response and builds the most trust. Because in order for content to do well, oftentimes it's got to trigger some kind of emotional reaction. And so that stuff that you feel least comfortable sharing is because there's a lot of emotion attached to it. So when you do share it, it evokes that emotion.
100%.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, for me, obviously I've been kind of...
So I didn't know this about you.
Yeah. Wow. I was thinking, do you know what it is? Okay, so yeah, for the record, for those who don't know, 2018, I went to jail. And
because I snitched on him. No,
but yeah, no, obviously off the back of some poor decisions that I made prior. But for me, it was a massive transformational experience in the fact that when I got there, again, I was very intentional. I was like, I'm not going to let this experience like just, I guess, be a negative. I'm going to try and turn it into a positive. So yeah, I read 58 books in 10 months and it completely changed my perspective, my life, my mindset. But I remember coming out and just thinking, is it really something I want to share? And I wasn't, in this time, I wasn't really thinking about personal brand or posting content. But obviously, as time has gone on, we've built Mill Hub and I probably just getting more and more comfortable, but it still took me, I came out in 2019, so it took me 5-6 years to really get to that point. But it was like, at the Mastermind in Dubai, I pulled Daniel Priestley aside and I was like, I really want to like share my journey, because you're talking a lot about personal brand, and I want to talk about the fact that I went to jail. He was like, I said, what are your thoughts? And he was like, when the time is right, you'll know. And I was like, okay. And like, I remember just going back, I prayed on it. I was talking to my missus about it as well. And then there was just one day, like, I just thought, yeah, you know what, today's the day. And because I've taken a picture of all the books that I read, right? So I wrote them down while I was reading them. So I took a picture of both sides. And then it was so funny because I was going through my camera roll and I had those two pictures and I was like, I'll just post those two pictures. But then I've scrolled all the way back to my camera roll. My friend sent me a video of me actually coming out of the jail. So I was like, no way. So I was like, let me just post that. And off the back of that, I didn't even think nothing of it. I just said, let me just put it out there. Like, it's off my chest after that. And then off the back of that, just like loads of messages. Like, yo, bro, proud of you. Like, I didn't even know that you went to jail. Da, 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 da. But again, me, I'm like I was private before. I didn't really want to share that. But probably one of the biggest like messages and what really showed me about personal brand was a message that I got from a guy, really good friend of ours now. But I met him when I came out through somebody else in Manchester, funny enough. And then he just messaged me and said, yo, man, like, I've been watching your journey over the last X amount of years. I really like what you stand for. He was like, I'm a multi-millionaire, so I don't really need anything from you, but I'm willing to help out in any way I can. And I was like, whoa. Like, and that made me super emotional. Mm-hmm. Like, I even nearly cried. But because I was just like, wow, like, this is off the back of me just, like, fully just sharing my truth, innit?
Yeah.
And yeah, he ended up invested into our business, which is great. But again, that was just off something I was so uncomfortable sharing, and again, being the thing that really, I guess, made people know who I am a bit more as well.
Yeah.
I felt
what
it.
I stand
I remember seeing that post. Like, obviously we've been connected on socials and I've seen stuff. I remember just looking at it thinking, I had no idea this whole time.
Yeah.
And I was like, but like, fair play. And the great thing is you've now taken control of your narrative as well. Because that's the other benefit of personal brand, is you control your narrative. And maybe if you didn't do that and it came out in the future, whatever, I don't know, maybe, because sometimes it just happens in business, a deal goes wrong. And then if someone finds out that you went to prison and then use that as a way to kind of slander you, well, then that can look bad. But now you kind of taken control of your narrative. It's like, yeah, this did happen. And I did the work. I read the 50 books. I made a decision, like, that's not who I am anymore. And this is what I've done now. So you've now got control of your narrative.
Yeah. I remember the time when you made that post. Someone that knows both of us even called me and was like, "Did you know Ross went to prison?" I'm like, "Did I know?" I work with him, so that was a big thing. Speaking of things like you putting things out there, one thing I haven't seen you actually do is talk too much about the ultra marathon. I know you posted it out, like the lead up to it, but after it, I remember you put a post on your story one time. You said, "I'm still processing what I went through out there." So I'd love to talk about this, because I say this to a lot of my friends that are like, "You're crazy for just doing runs in general, or just doing cold plunges." I'm like, listen, there's people I know that are doing ultra marathons. Like, do you want to talk a little bit more about that? Like, what it was? And
well, I have got finally the vlog of the run coming out.
Sometimes I go on your page and I'm just like, when's this video coming out?
we were waiting on a lot of drone footage from the organizers.
Okay.
And they've taken a while to get it. We've got it now. So
okay,
in the next week or two, or maybe when this podcast goes live, it's on my channel. So for context, it's called the Marathon des Sables, which is French for Marathon of the Sands. And it's nicknamed the toughest foot race on earth. It's a 250 kilometer ultra marathon across the Sahara desert, which is also the hottest desert on earth. It's 6 stages across 7 days. So one stage is you run X amount, the next day you do another stage, etc. It's on average a marathon a day, but actually day 4 is 2 marathons. It's 82 kilometers, which is called the long day. And then you've got some days which are 30 kilometers, some which are 40, etc., etc. And I've been aware of this event for a long time. Like I say, my dad did it many, many years ago. I want to say like 15, 16, 17 years ago. Family friends have done it. And I mean, I did an Ironman triathlon when I was 19. And I just got to the point at the start of this year. So I've not done something too physically demanding for a while. I felt myself getting a little bit comfortable, going to this nice fancy gym, which give you the nice cold lavender towels. I'm like, I need to like toughen, like just remind myself. And that's what it was. I was like, I just want to know, like, what, like how far can I push myself? I wanted to find that breaking point. So I remember it was like the 4th of January. You've got that new year, new me energy. Search Marathon des Sables. And it's like registration closes tomorrow. I'm like, if I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it. And I just thought, fuck it. I'll commit. And it's that same mindset. It's like, just decisive, commit now, figure it out later. There's all of these reasons why I shouldn't do it. I've got multiple businesses to run. I'm not a runner. Don't really enjoy running that much. I could probably do it next year. I don't even know exactly what it entails. Like, the list goes on and on and on. But I thought, but I can figure all that stuff out. Like, I'll make it work. And so I remember I paid for it. I was like, so there's a few mental models that I kind of used to make sure like I was going to make it happen. First thing is like, I need to get accountable. I need to put it out there to the world that I'm doing this and get my back against the wall. Because if no one knows I'm doing it, it's easier to just kind of like cop out. So go on Instagram. I was like, I've just signed up for this. And then phone starts blowing up with phone calls. I got friends calling me like, bro, like, do you know how hard this is? Like, people die doing this shit. I had a friend of mine, a girlfriend that lives down the road from me. She was like, She was trying to talk me out of it. And I recognize people like to project their own worldview, their own beliefs onto you. I was like, maybe in your world, I didn't explicitly say this, but I was thinking this. It's like, maybe in your world, this is impossible, this is challenging, and this is something that you can never do. In my world, I've already done it. Like in my head, it's done. I've crossed that desert. So I got myself accountable. Second mental model I reverted to is who, not how. It's like, I don't want to have to do all of the research to figure out how do I do this. It's just, who can I go to that has all the answers, and I can just pay them money to just tell me what I need to know. And so I asked my assistant, I said, look, find me a coach, please. And she came back and said, there's this guy from Wales, he's done it 17 times. Oh, wow. And I was like, fine, jump on a call with him. And immediately says, it just tells me everything I need to know. And I thought, there's two ways I can get 17 years worth of experience. I can go and do it every year for the next 17 years, or I just pay this guy who's done it 17 times and get the answers. Exactly. And so he just gave me a full training plan, which I just didn't ask any questions, just followed to the T. Bought all of the equipment that he recommended. So what I didn't mention is you do this run with a backpack with all your supplies for the week. It's about 10 kg. And there were, I'll be honest, there were points where like I went to the running shop to buy some running shoes. Bearing in mind, for some context, how fit I was. I thought I was fit. Like I work out, I stay in good shape. The coach asked me, he's like, okay, what's your running fitness like? I was like, I don't actually know. He said, go onto your, wear an Apple Watch, go onto your Apple Fitness app and just see how many runs you've done over the last 12 months. I must have convinced myself I was running a lot more than I was. I'd ran a combined 21 kilometers the whole of that previous year. Man. That was like one 10K run, a 5K run, and a 6K run. I was like, well, I'm committed now. Yeah. So, but I just know the body can adapt. Like the mind, if the mind commits, the body will figure it out and adapt. But there was times where I'd go to the running shop. He would tell me what shoes to go and buy. I'd get to the running shop. And they'd be like, oh, like, what do you need them for? I was like, oh, I'm doing this desert race. Oh, no, you shouldn't buy those shoes. You should buy these ones. And so I call the coach. I'm like, coach, they're telling me the shoes you've recommended are the wrong shoes. Like, they're telling me I should buy these ones. Like, they sound pretty convinced. He was like, ask them how many times they've done it. Yeah. And they were like, they've never done it. So I was like, I've got to remind myself, just stick to the process. Yeah. So anyway, I do the training. And the training is like, I was there I wasn't trying to win this race. I just wanted to complete it. The biggest risk is the heat, because if you get heat stroke, you're done. Like your body just shuts down on you. And that was my biggest anxiety. And I really tried to not let those thoughts enter my conscious mind. But in the weeks leading up to it, I would wake up in the middle of the night having nightmares that I've like, I've had heat stroke halfway through the race and stuff. Like it was really occupying my mind. It was the first thing I think about when I wake up. But I just did the work. And so you spend a lot of time in the sauna. You do some heat chamber sessions where you're running in what's really like a 40-degree heat chamber with similar humidity. And your body adapts. Your core body temperature drops. I was going out for runs for like 5-6 hours. And it's low heart rate stuff. So you're running very slow. But I was just headphones on from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. I was just going to run. And I was just doing... Towards the end, it was like 100 to 150 kilometers a week. And it's just amazing how quickly your body adapts. And then I get out there and I remember being in the airport. I'm at Weatherspoons with my tent mates that I'm going to be sharing the tent with for the week. And some guy comes over and he was telling me that he attempted the race 2 years prior. And he was saying, I tried it 2 years prior, but day 2, got to the top of a sand dune and just passed out unconscious and I had to get helicoptered out of there. Wow. I was like, okay. And then I meet some other girl that she's like, yeah, day 1, I came back to the tent. There was a guy in cardiac arrest. Luckily, I'm a nurse, so I managed to resuscitate him. And it's just all of these like, but I was like, I'll focus on what I can control. I won't focus on what I can't control. Day 1 was fine. Took it very, very slow. It was like 40 something degrees. Day 2 was where I had my first wobble. Day 2 was 40 kilometers. I got 10 kilometers in and my ankle just goes. I don't know what it was. Wow. And I I'm essentially limping at this point, and I've got people walking past me, overtaking me. And that's when your inner dialogue starts to change on you. Because for me, I recognize that was the most important thing. Like, this is a psychological challenge disguised as a physical challenge.
Yeah.
And so one thing I wanted to do was make sure my inner dialogue, my psychology was constantly positive, stay in that state of certainty. But when you're depleted of carbs, you're limping, you've got 30 kilometers ahead of you. You know, you've got day 3 and then day 4, the long day, which is like the 82 kilometers. Ben might have never ran more than 26 miles before. You start to get in this headspace, but the one thing that would repeat to myself is one step, like one foot in front of the other. That's all if you just can put one foot in front of the other, inevitably, if enough time passes, you get to the finish line. And then that day 2, there's a checkpoint every 7 kilometers where they replace your water, and you put a new salt tablet in each bottle. And from this checkpoint to the finish, it's like this, almost like salt flats, but it's, I guess, sand. But you can see the camp and the finish line in the distance. You can almost hear it, but it's 7 or 8 kilometers away. And at this point, I'm walking at the pace of like, I mean, a grandma that's got Parkinson's, but my heart rate is like 165, 170. Heat exhaustion has hit me, and I'm just not getting any closer. Eventually, you get to the finish line, but that night, I'm back at the camp. And you got heat exhaustion, but it's not like you can just go jump in a cold shower or a cold bath. Like, you're lying in your tent, but it's still hot outside. You're just cooking from the inside out. And they give you on your backpack, you've got this GPS tracker with an SOS button. So they say, if you're ever in any trouble, you hit the SOS button, we'll come pick you up and we'll pull you off the course. When they first put it on, in my head, I was like, there's not a world where I hit that button. It's just not a reality to me. I didn't even want to let that thought enter my mind. But that night, I'm lying there cooking, trying to come up with reasons that I could tell my friends and everyone back home as to why I pulled out. And someone gave me some advice. They said, just sleep it off. They just said, sleep it off. Go to sleep, see how you feel when you wake up. When I went to sleep, woke up the next day, and I just felt fine again. I was back to it. Had my carbs. Day 3 was fine. Got it done. Day 4 was a long stage. Took me 24 hours and 1 minute. I hadn't cried in probably 15 plus years, but I crossed that finish line and just like broke down.
That release.
And it was the relief of like getting it done. Because for like 24 hours is
That's a long time.
and you're going all the way through the night. No music, it's like phone's dead.
Just running.
Basically.
But like stopping, right?
You're stopping at checkpoints. You're walking a lot of it as well.
Wow.
From about midnight onwards, I was alone. No headphones. Like, it is just you and your thoughts.
Crazy.
Having been gone for like 16 hours already.
Yeah.
And you have just got to put one foot in front of the other. And then, across that finish line. And it was the relief of like getting it done. But also just the inspiration of like, the body's capable of crazy things.
Yeah.
But to then actually like stack that evidence and be like, holy shit. Because I actually know you probably could have kept going. So I just broke down in tears, went back to the tent, and I remember seeing some of the tent mates that had made it back as well. And I just remember saying, boys, we did it. We did it. And then I just start crying again.
Wow.
And then, following that, you have... I got back at 6 a.m. from that stage. You have the whole of that day to kind of recover. And then day 5 is marathon day. So you do another marathon. And the last day is a half marathon. Cross the finish line. And then I was like, just get me out of this desert.
Was the marathon and the half marathon easy after that? Well, not easy, but you know what I mean? It wasn't.
Yeah. The body, it's a constant battle between the mind and body. But I mean, I had a couple of injuries. I had my ankle injury and some blisters. But I would just tell myself, is like, if the body realizes that the mind is not giving up, it will just fix itself. Like, just push through it.
Yeah.
And that's what happened.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
So yeah.
That is powerful.
There's conversations you would have had when there's no, because there's times you can go in like a quiet place or sauna or whatever, and you can put music on if you want to take your headphones in there. But this is a point where it's quiet, no one's around, and there's a mission ahead.
Yeah.
I think there's power in isolation.
But what sort of things were coming to your mind
So one of the ways I got through it is I created this world where, and you guys are both religious, right? So maybe you relate to this. It was like, it's me versus me, but it's also me versus the devil. And I would kind of nickname it like, I'm going out to the desert, I'm dancing with the devil. And I would, one of my team, he sent me a nice text as I was going into the desert, and he said, don't think that, remind yourself that you're not there in the desert stuck with the devil. The devil is there stuck with you. And that mindset I went into the race with, and I recognized that the devil isn't this like fictitious character with the red horns. It's the pains you get in your body. It's the negative thoughts that show up. It's all of these things that your mind and body is trying to convince you as to why you should stop, why you can't do it, whatever. Like that's the devil. And so I kind of recognized that the devil, I kind of like dissociated those things where I like, oh, I've got this injury and I should probably stop. It's like, that's not me, that's the devil. And then he brings out that competitive nature. It's like, no, I'm winning this. Like it's not the devil. But a lot of it was just maintaining the same inner dialogue. It's like one foot in front of the other, keep going. Like, what can't I do? Just conditioning the mind, conditioning your nervous system. But yeah, you learn a lot about yourself.
I feel you doing that race. I remember I used to, like, we have a good childhood friend of ours, Shalom. He runs marathon. His muscle endurance is crazy. I'd even tell him to sign up to this, but knowing that he would probably try and get us to do it as well.
Yeah, true.
But the moment you did that, it changed my perspective on completing a marathon. Because I'll be like, I don't need to do that. Why do I need to do that? But then, even though there's a small percentage of people that have actually completed marathons, they've done it, right? And you talk about, if someone else can do it, why can't I? Like, I can. And hearing you do that, or even when I speak to people about that, 250 kilometers, right? Over 5-6 days. The idea of a marathon just seems so minuscule in comparison. So
it is.
Yeah, now my perspective has changed. But I remember being that guy, I was like, well, who's running 5K? 5K is so long. Then 10K.
But then also it's the power of who you surround yourself with, right? Because the people I was training with, the coaching group that I was in, the people I was sharing a tent with, like, this is normal. And so it wasn't, but then I go with some friends, they can't get their head around it. They're trying like, no, I don't get it. Like, why are you going to do that? It's going to be so hard. It's going to be so hot. You're going to struggle. You're not a runner. All of these different things.
Yeah.
It's like they're projecting their worldview onto you. But no, I created this bubble. I was in the WhatsApp groups, the people I was training with, holding each other accountable, jumping on Zoom calls with them, had a coach where it's normal. And when I first signed up, I was looking at some of the photos and videos on the website, and I saw like the oldest person to complete it was in their 70s.
Wow.
There was I knew someone that completed it several years back that was a bit overweight. And for me, like those two things, that was just enough evidence for me that why I can do it. I'm like, I'm in my 20s, I'm a young male, I'm in good shape, why can't I? And then, I didn't watch any YouTube videos about it for like the first 2 months of training. I didn't mention this, I only had 90 days to train.
Damn.
I thought I had longer.
How long do they typically tell you, like recommend for you?
Like 6 months to a year.
Thinking that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But also a belief system I hold is like, statistics don't apply to me. I'm an exception to the rule. For some people, maybe they need 6-12 months, but I just think that's a belief system that
that's
served me.
Yeah, that's epic, man. I think a key thing there as well, though, is you found a coach. It was the who.
It was a who,
not how. And again, he gave you all the tools, and he's somebody that's done it already. So I think that's an important takeaway from this is when you're trying to achieve something, again.
And it was obvious when you're out there on the course, the people that hadn't got a coach were there for the first time figuring it out, because they were just learning all the lessons the hard way.
When I come back to the coach thing, who won the race?
Who won the race?
Yeah.
There's these two Moroccan brothers that have grown up in the desert pretty much that are just, I don't know, not much taller than 5 foot, that are just gazelles. But they've just grown up in that environment.
They've probably run it like maybe that 17, 18 times or maybe more.
Something
That's
like that.
interesting though.
Yeah.
So they're from where it is? Or was
Pretty
it?
much Morocco, yeah.
Yeah. But the reason why I say that is because I was speaking with someone the other day and they were saying why Brazilians are so good at football. It's because of where they grew up. Like, they're growing up barefoot, they're walking on kind of unlevel ground, and their foot is just like so so used to like moving in a certain way where, you know, they're just so nimble. And it got me thinking, is that actually, let's say where you grow up as well and your environment
Shapes you.
has a major impact on, I guess, your ability and what you can do. So that's interesting to hear that.
Do you
those
use
guys want
coach?
it.
Do you use coaches in various areas in your life? Because I think I know some parts of that, but like, what areas do you use coaches for?
Health.
Mhm.
I've hired, you guys have met Billy,
Yeah,
peak
yeah.
performance
Oh,
coach.
he's
So
unreal. It's part of the reason why it's still the deal with me getting my Aura ring. Like, I was
exactly
just
that.
Yeah.
Told me about sleep.
6 years ago, I remember kind of coming to London and kind of becoming part of a network of friends in London, like young entrepreneurs that were just in their late teens, early 20s, like multi-seven-figure business owners. And one pattern that I observed is they were all just hyper-focused on maximizing their health, their productivity, so they could increase their output. And Billy was coaching them. Billy's peak performance coach and helps people do that through optimizing their health routines and whatever protocols. And so Billy, I've worked with him multiple times over the years. Within the businesses, there's like certain team members as well, like hiring people that are smarter than you. They kind of act as coaches. So like I've got someone that runs, he's like a fractional finance director. He really is a bit of a coach. Like he's constantly coaching me and giving advice on what he's learned over his years working at high up roles in PLCs, etc. What other areas of my life? Yeah, I guess just within the businesses, certain departments hiring people that are smarter than you, and they're the main ones I can think of.
Yeah.
No relationship or dating coaches.
You don't need
yet.
it. You don't need it.
I don't know.
No, he's the coach. He's the coach. He's got the clients. So anyone, if you're interested, man. Cool. I mean, probably like anything else that you want to cover?
Siblings.
Ah,
I kind of started like putting a few dots together,
Yeah.
but I don't know if I figured it out. You tell me. But you have a sister
Mm-hmm.
who is doing some big things
Yeah.
on YouTube as well,
Sure.
especially within the luxury housing market.
a lot of women I know like follow a brand.
Yeah.
Like,
My
really?
missus showed me a video. She's like, "Oh, look at this house." And obviously, because we like to design the house that we want to live in, we came across that show. But then I was like, "Oh, wait, Newman, okay, Tyler." So then I was like, "Okay." And then also now you got LPP, right? So I'm like, "Okay, like this seems like an ecosystem." Off the back of like, okay, you know, they get properties, they show them, you're maybe selling these or able to sell them. So like, first of all, is like, what does your kind of, if you're happy to share, what does your sibling setup look like? And also like, what's that like? Because you're both doing amazing things. So it seems like it's
testament to your parents. Your parents is
yeah.
It
yeah,
is.
honestly,
It is.
genuinely.
So yeah.
Yeah, my sister, she's 2 years younger than me. Summer, her name is. Her and a boyfriend of this essentially a media company called Luxury Home Show. And they just started years and years ago creating property tours. I don't think it's on YouTube, but I remember that they showed me the first ever property tour they did once. And it was like, it's embarrassingly bad. Like it is horrendously bad.
Okay.
But they started and they just, every one they did was better than the next one and they iterated. And then COVID happened and throughout lockdown, everyone was at home watching YouTube and then their channel kind of took off. They tour, they're in their team, tour beautiful properties around the world. They've spent time in Australia touring properties there, Dubai. They're in Miami for 12 months. They've just moved to LA and doing it out there. And I think they're going to stay in the US now. So just over there, the US, just the amount of, in the US, the velocity of money and spending is just way higher than anywhere else. So the budgets that agents and developers have to kind of
Do these things, yeah.
They're doing well.
What does their monetization model look like if you're happy to share? Like,
From what I know, it's the agents that are representing the sale of the properties or the developers that develop the properties pay for them to feature the property on the channel.
Fair.
Obviously, the property has to fit the brand.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Generally phenomenal, man. Like I said, coming across that, I think I came across it before I even came across your content, but that's probably because it was like top of the funnel.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite general, isn't it? Yeah, it's quite general.
And I used to work for a tech company that focused on interior design, architecture as well. So it kind of resonated in that point in terms of the algorithm. But just seeing what Summer's done, honestly, phenomenal. So
I remember seeing their channel when it was getting like 2,000 views, like 3,000 views, and then COVID, and
They just hit 1 million subscribers.
yeah, crazy,
huge.
But yeah, it's a really good show as well, and I think the way that they showcase the places is what people want to see. Everyone's nosy. Everyone wants to see inside. Like that was me when I was on the stage. I just want to see inside your house, see what it looks like. Especially luxury homes, you want to see inside. So
yeah.
It's a
I remember when I was an agent, when I first started out, I wasn't supposed to do this, but I just used to book viewings at random luxury homes that we had on the listing. My manager used to be like, "Why are you doing that?" I was just like, "I'm going with one of the senior negotiators." I'd had a good relationship with him, but Foxtons had this thing where you couldn't market certain houses within a threshold. So like I was boxed in at anything under 500k, but the senior sales negotiators had things like 1 million plus, 1.5 million, and I was working in North London, so like Archway, Muswell Hill, those areas. And the houses I used to go and see, I used to see like underground car parks. I remember this Russian lady we went on a viewing with. She's going through a divorce, and she was getting a big payout from the settlement, and just went in. House, I think wasn't, if I remember, it was probably on the market for about £4 million pounds, and she was just like, "Yeah, okay, nice, yeah, cool. I want to see more." And just being in those places and just recording it on Snapchat as well. Then a lot of my friends used to look at that. I was like, "Wow, these houses you're going to are so amazing." So even from there, I feel that's like what kept pushing me into wanting to be in this space. But like I said,
That's
there was probably
something we've not spoken about, but there's a lot to be said before you even believe it's possible. You've actually got to see what's possible. And seeing something online is like, okay, but when you're actually there in person and you can feel it and you're like, oh, this is what people can have. Yeah. I remember the first time I went out to a club in Mayfair when I was like 18, 19, and that's a whole other funny story. But I was like, people do this, like bottle shows and beautiful women and this. And I remember the first time when I went out to this club, I'll give you the short story. I met this girl, just dancing with her and whatever. I thought we vibed, thought we got on. And like I had no idea. All it was is I walked past this club one night in London when I was just going on one of my walks, and I said, "Oh, who are these like these nice cars outside? People like nice watches on, nice clothes going into this venue." When I Googled what it was, and I said to my friend back home, "It's like, one day we've got to go to this club. Like there's just something about it. Like there's this crazy aura I'm getting from it." And I remember him saying, "Well, look, if I ever break up with my girlfriend, or my girlfriend ever breaks up with me, I'll give you the call. We'll go." Months go by and I get that phone call. We head down and we're there waiting in line for like 40 minutes. We've like put our best blazer on, shirt on. We get to the front of the line and they're like, "What's a table name?" I'm like, "Table? Like, why is there a table in the club? Like, I want to go on the dance floor." And then they're like, "You want a guest list?" I was like, no, we just want to come in general access. They're like, "Go stand over there." And I'm standing over there for like 20 minutes thinking about to let me in. And then it clicks. And then I asked the security, stood next to me. I'm like, "We're not getting in, are we?" He's like, "No." But again, another belief system that I've always had is like, there's always a way. There's always a way. And so I said to him, "Well, if I did want to get in, how do I make it happen?" And he tried to give me some resistance. I was like, look, how do we make it happen? He says, "The cash machine in the hotel, go in, get 50 out each, come back, slide in my hand, and I'll work some magic." I was like, okay. For me back then, like 50 to get, I paid for the trains, I booked a hotel room for the night. My boy, he's a uni student, so he's not got too much money. So I'm like, we're committed, like we're pot committed, I'm going in. So I get the cash, get in, and my eyes are just like opened. I'm seeing like bottle shows for the first time. I'm seeing money being spent, whatever. And I'm dancing with this one girl. I'm like, "Oh, we're vibing, like it's beautiful." You think you've seen like a 9 out of 10 from where you're from back home in the Midlands. And then you go into Mayfair and you're like, "Oh wow, there's levels."
Oh, man, I've got
So
stories.
So anyway, the club finishes at 3:30, we go outside. I'm with my friend, we're chatting, this girl's here, getting to know her. She's smoking a cigarette, which I didn't find too attractive. But anyway, I was like, well, I'm sharing a hotel room with my best friend. So I'm not really sure, like logistically. Anyway, before I can even figure any of this out, this blacked out Rolls Royce just pulls up on the curb, and it's a young guy driving it. He rolls the window down, points at this girl, waves, and ushers her in like this. This girl doesn't even look at me, acknowledge me, nothing. She just walks to that car, gets in, and goes off. And I just remember saying to my friend, I was like, we need to be that guy.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those inflection moments. It was like, I get it now. Like there's levels.
No, 100%, man.
But that's the universe just giving you signs.
Yeah, now you're that guy, innit?
No.
Yeah, that club scene is interesting.
Yeah.
It's so funny. There's a lot that goes on in that scene. But yeah.
We've got to see what's possible. Touch it, feel it, see it.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Cool. I guess probably just maybe as we round things off in terms of things that you're working on. Like one question I've been asking a lot of people that I've come into contact with is, what's one thing that you're excited about that you're working on?
Going all in 10x on personal brand. Yeah. Want to take things up several notches.
Yeah.
So just getting the team and infrastructure in place to make that happen. Like there's companies or businesses that use media as a tool to grow the business, but then there's media companies which have a business on the back end to monetize that trust and attention. And it's just that small little mindset shift where now I really want to will become a media company. That's how I think about what I do, to build trust and attention at scale. And they have a business on the back end to monetize it. So I think of the Kardashians, media company, businesses on back end. You've got Kylie Jenner becoming like the world's youngest billionaire. You've got Mr. Beast, media company on the front end.
Business on
the back end, doing hundreds of millions. KSI, Logan Paul, Prime Hydration.
100%.
The list goes on and on and
Even
on.
Andrew Tate.
Yeah, true.
Media company first, business back end. And so that's what I'm really excited about.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And throughout this whole thing, we've been speaking about the Dubai Mastermind. Are you going to do another one?
Yep. Just literally this week that we're recording, about to start promo. So it will be, I believe, the second week of December. It's going to be special. It's going to be the best one yet. The theme of it, it's the speakers and the caliber of people that are coming through. 9-figure entrepreneurs, people that are doing 9 figures in revenue in their business or have built businesses worth 9 figures. Daniel Priestley confirmed to come spend a day with us again, plus some other very exciting people. So reach out.
I think we're going again.
Cool.
You never know.
Yeah,
never know.
Maybe we might show up.
But cool. No, honestly, appreciate you coming down. We wanted to make the second episode bigger than the first. We felt like the first one was more about just people getting to know us two, even though you say we've got good chemistry. Do you think we've got good chemistry? I don't really like this guy.
I think you got good chemistry.
I don't really like this guy. No, I'm joking.
I remember in Dubai when you were introducing yourself, was it you were also like,
I said he works for me.
Yeah.
That was actually funny.
That was hilarious.
Because you said everything.
good,
Yeah.
yeah.
You introduced yourself. I was like, yeah, he works for me. So
Cool.
But no, cool. Appreciate that.
Yeah,
man.
no, thank you for coming down.
I'm grateful for you guys. It's been a
Appreciate
fun
that.
conversation.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. That's a wrap.